Sometimes my genius is... it's almost frightening.
This is the Wasted Nights podcast.
Net zero, that was one of the first things I had written down. I've had a few days off watching the news and stuff because after Stag Do,
Right.
I just couldn't bear to open Twitter and read anything negative. So yesterday I was like, right, better just get switched back in because, you know, Nick's coming tomorrow and stuff. And I opened my phone and it was UK to approve cloud seeding.
Yeah.
In the next
Oh
few
yeah, I've
weeks.
seen something about that. Was it cloud seeding or sun dimming?
Well, it's sun dimming.
Is it a real thing?
For years I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I interviewed somebody a month ago. It's on my podcast now called Lewis Brackpool.
Mm-hmm.
Not Blackpool, Brackpool.
Blackpool.
And he's a journalist looking into it, and we had a really good conversation. So I asked him about chemtrails in the sky from planes and geoengineering, and he went through it all. It was very, very informative. So basically, are chemtrails true in the sky? The answer is, we don't know. They've messed around with jet fuel. We know that as a fact.
Yeah.
Have they put anything else in it to combat net zero and all that? We don't know. Geoengineering, so seed clouding and sun dimming and all that.
That's 100%, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
There's government reports on it. There's government announcements.
Qatar
doing
flooded from it last year.
They did an experiment, I think, in the 70s in Cornwall.
Yeah.
Created a big flood. 30 people died.
Yeah.
And the government denied they were doing anything. 50 years later, the papers come out, and the RAF or whatever was it was an experiment to see if they could control the weather. 30 people died in flash floods. So we are messing with the weather.
Yeah.
So that bit's true. They like the bit of chemtrails because then they can tell you're all nutcases and conspiracy theories. But when you dig under that, they go, well, of course geoengineering's true, and of course we're working on that.
The Saudis admitted it last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They were trying to rain the desert.
Yeah, if you go onto the patent office online, there's thousands of patents for doing these things.
Really?
In the podcast I did on this video description of all the press articles of government admitting it and saying what they're doing and everything.
Yeah.
We don't need more rain here, though.
Well,
As a general fucking rule, it rains enough.
And we've just spent millions on covering the fields with solar panels. We're going to try and dim the sun down.
It's worse than that. If we think we can control the weather and have it doing what we want it to do, we're not that clever. We don't understand the weather.
No.
You look at your weather apps; they can't predict tomorrow's weather correctly.
No.
And we think we're going to mess with it and have the outcome we want. Not a chance in hell. If anything, we'll break the cycles. We'll make it worse.
Yeah.
It'll be horrendous if we keep messing with the weather.
Oh,
It does sound right.
just bringing on apocalypse, really, isn't it? You're asking for something terrible, and no one will be accountable when they eventually do it, and something happens in England.
Yeah.
There'll be it'll be like, oh well, you know, climate change. We should have done it sooner.
Well, it's every time that we've messed with any sort of climate. You know, every I look at what happened in the Americas and half the fucking buffalo dying, and they got down to the last 100, didn't they, in America?
What's that by doing?
The bison, just by
That's because we were killing them.
predation. Hunting them.
Yeah,
But it changed the whole ecology.
Yeah.
Just from getting rid of one animal. So like introducing more fucking rain isn't going to be a good thing, is it?
No. And if we get more rain, let's say we want more rain in the Sahara Desert, that sounds sensible. Where does that rain come from?
Yeah.
It means it has to stop raining somewhere else.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, we may improve here, but suddenly we've disadvantaged lots of other areas.
The Congo's dried up.
Yeah. And then what happens to those people? They need to move, so they go on war footing
Yeah.
to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or the rain stops and the rivers dry up. So then countries then have to then take water from another country. That leads to war. I read a book 20 years ago saying the future wars will be over water.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, because there's lots of disagreements now. I think it's Turkey, the Middle East. because some of the countries are damming their rivers for hydroelectricity, it means less water goes downstream. So those countries then have less water. They're using as much as they use. So the country then past them has even less water. And there's arguments about this now across the world.
Do you remember years ago on Top Gear? I think it was Top Gear. Yeah, it was Top Gear. They were in, is it Vietnam or something?
Right.
And they were supposed to be in this lake waiting for the monsoons to come. But because China had dammed so much water coming out of the Himalayas, these fucking lakes had just dried up. You know, they were literally a couple of feet deep. What used to be like, well, not thousands, but like kilometres long lakes. Just from messing with the bloody river system.
Yeah, well, it can only go wrong. I just thought I was 60% on board with all the geoengineering, you know, saying, oh, it's half conspiracy, stuff like that. But yesterday, that coming up, I was like, oh, right, so this is just the coming out with it now.
The more you start looking into it, everything's a fucking conspiracy. That's the weird thing.
The only thing that's a conspiracy bit, which may end up being true, we don't know, is the chemtrail stuff. And the chemtrail stuff means they're putting stuff in airplanes that we don't know about and that they don't know.
Aluminium and brominium into the fuel.
But then also, then it goes to the extremes then that it's mind control drugs.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And I think from what I read, Prince, the artist, started a lot of this. He was on a national TV in America talking about they're putting stuff in the chemtrails to keep black people violent so the government can kill them. And once he mentioned that live on air.
So that's where the conspiracy comes from.
I'm sure it's before that as well, but having someone like Prince talk about it live on TV.
Yeah. Back before there was an internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right, that makes sense.
God, yeah.
Frightening.
I mean, did anyone else read the article I'm on about?
Which one?
I read the headline.
Or the headline. I think they are saying we will, you know, a portion of that will be done with aerosols. So
that's just basically chemtrails.
Yeah. Like,
how else would you spread it?
Yeah. So,
was it actually true though? Because looking at it, I thought it was half the things I see on X now. I think, that's just clickbait.
No. I mean, who knows? It could have been, but everyone was discussing
it was picked up by some of the mainstream press.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it was I think it was in the Times, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he said it's not that it's like actually happening tomorrow, but in a few weeks it'll be approved, going through a approval process, wasn't it? So
are the modern day politician? Are they just so far out of touch with modern people to start thinking that approving that sort of thing is okay?
Most people are idiots.
That's not true, though.
Oh, no, it is.
Do you reckon?
Most people are idiots.
60% of them in here.
Well, yeah, 60% in this room. 66.
And politicians represent the public, and, you know, politicians don't have any criteria to be a politician, so I would imagine, I mean, you've seen some of them on TV. You know they're thick as shit.
Yeah.
You know, and their driving ambition is to keep their job.
Yeah.
Because since we last met, their wages have gone up.
Yeah.
It was it was 92 grand a year. It's now 95 grand a year.
Nice.
It's a good increase, isn't it?
So it's nice if you can get it.
Yeah.
So it's and the lobby groups who want this will lobby it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll get the right scientists to do the right reports. What all comes back as positive. We're going to help fund your next campaign when you're being re-elected. That's all legal and...
Yeah.
And look at the COVID crap.
Yeah. Well, what was it the other day? It was actually... We all knew that it came from a lab pretty much 2 weeks after it was released. I mean, there was a COVID lab in Wuhan next to the wet market where this COVID fucking came from.
Yeah.
And it took 5 years for the media and governments to admit, it actually came from this COVID lab.
And that's because they're afraid of the people.
Yeah.
And they didn't want the people to know the truth. So, you're right. They had the world's only coronavirus laboratory was in Wuhan. And suddenly there's an outbreak of the coronavirus in Wuhan near the laboratory.
So we're going to blame it on pangolins.
Yeah. And it was like, huh? If suddenly people were dying because we're eating chocolate, and they found out where it started, and it was in Cadbury, you'd be going, Cadbury, people are dying of eating chocolate. And it's, I wonder what the connection here is.
I bet it's white chocolate.
So it was, but they lied and they lied and they lied. And don't forget, part of the woke excuse was it's racist.
Yeah.
Blaming the Chinese is racist.
Yeah.
Even though that their lab was funded by Fauci and Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it was racist.
Yeah. Just didn't want us. They didn't want us to have to know the truth, because all of them had proved it and all of them knew about it.
Yeah.
So it was, and they were scared of the public. They were scared of uprisings. They were scared of what the public would do to us now that we've helped fund and release this virus into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I remember. I think now that you've mentioned that, I was thinking off the top of my head. I remember that the British government was bringing in laws during lockdown to quash protests. During the first lockdowns, there was a whole plethora of laws that were brought in. Haven't been taken away either.
Yeah, unless it was for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, different.
And then,
that's different.
And then that was exempt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you could actually go and tear down statues.
Oh, yeah.
Throw bricks through normal people's businesses. Yeah.
If you have your mask on.
Yeah.
You got onto it. We listened to that podcast the other day. I just love a good conspiracy theory now. But you listened to it when I sent you, didn't you?
Which
About
one?
That COVID wasn't even real.
Did I?
It was on tinfoil. So, you know,
they
go so far. COVID wasn't real. A asteroid actually hit the planet.
Yeah, I did listen to this one.
At the same time in Africa. Was it Africa or Zimbabwe? And they said the COVID was just a way of covering up, because they set up all the death camps, you know, where they were going to mass bury bodies. And they said they set them up and then shut them all down just 2 days after this asteroid hit, and it didn't cause anywhere near as much damage. That was a cracking one.
No, I did listen to those guys are out of fucking control, conspiracies.
Yeah. It was all a ruse.
I'm a fan of a good conspiracy, but those guys take it to a new level.
Stuff you wouldn't even... Yeah, I heard someone claiming the other day the jabs were actually, they have something like something oxide in them, and once all 5G gets turned on around the country, it'll activate something in your bloodstream and we'll all just collapse. So,
they'll be able to see you through walls. That's what it was, wasn't it, with 5G?
Yeah.
See, they are fun. Like, as ridiculous as they are fun.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You can see why people get sucked into them and start like not really believing them, but going along with them because they're so much fun.
Yeah, you probably try to stay away from him a little bit more, do you think? I'd imagine.
Yeah, but there is a natural impulse to be overcautious and to believe in those things. So we're designed to be overcautious.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine you're walking through a wood at night and you have a branch break behind you.
What's that?
What's that? Do you climb the tree in case it's a wolf?
Yeah.
Or do you say to yourself, it's not going to be a wolf? What do you do? If you climb the tree,
You're guaranteed to be safe.
you're guaranteed to be safe. And if it isn't a wolf, you haven't lost anything.
Yeah.
But if you don't climb the tree, and it turns out you're wrong and it is a wolf, you're dead. So therefore, we are cautious in that self-preservation. So then if you look at conspiracy theories, why some people have a tendency to believe in them. Same scenario. So is a WF run by lizards who are trying to control the planet and control everybody and then eat us? Well,
They might as well be.
I'll believe in that because it may be true.
Yeah.
And if it turns out not to be true, I haven't lost anything.
Yeah.
It's the same psychology.
They have the WEF has the same psychology as lizards, though.
Say that again.
They have the same psychology as lizards. The people who run the WEF,
Right.
they're just evil fucks, aren't
Nick's
they?
going to be thinking, shit,
Yeah, what have I brought up here? I personally cannot stand the WEF. I think it's just an evil entity.
It's
basically it's a psychopathic entity. It's basically a giant corporation that's trying to run on empathy with no empathy.
It wants one world with one people, with one government. And we may end up being that, but it'll be tens of thousands of years from now. They're not a conspiracy theory because they tell us what they want. They put it on their website. And even though I disagree with them, the more they are entitled to put out there and try to garner support for what they want.
Yeah.
But the WF is failing. At the last last couple of meetings, there's less and less world leaders going out.
Right.
At the last meeting last year, they had to have celebrities giving speeches.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. They had old mate Gary Neville on there, didn't they?
And Beckham and other
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
When your serious political organisation
You don't need Gary Neville to come and give you a
has
speech.
to
do you?
rely on celebrities, then you know it's a failing idea.
Yeah.
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 That's a good point.
Yeah, so you don't give them guys too much attention now.
I don't think about the WF at all.
But
good.
Starmer has said a few times that he'd rather be in Davos than in Westminster.
Yeah. They said it live on the BBC.
Yeah. It's pretty concerning, isn't it?
Because he'd like to see world communism.
Yeah.
And that's how you get world communism. You need a world state to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what these people can see. That's their direction of travel. So that's why they support
The
it.
nuts for him to come out and say that was crazy, wasn't it?
But that's what these people believe.
I know, but talk about just trying to turn people against you. You'd just say England, wouldn't you?
Well, it all
Wouldn't you
depends
say it?
who you want voting for you.
Yeah.
So don't forget, you only need 33% of the voters to vote for you to win. So that's why hardly anyone's ever patriotic, because they're not looking at that. They're looking at certain groups. So he's looking at the progressive liberals, and he's going, oh, me saying Davos means I secure all those votes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's very easy to think these people are stupid. They're not stupid.
No.
What it is we're stupid for not understanding why they do what they do.
Yeah.
We need to be thinking, what's the benefit of them saying that and doing that? They just don't make these things up on the hoof. They know what they're doing, and it's all done through stats and polling and, oh, well, I need that group. Like at the moment when it's all about Islamophobia and protecting the Muslims and things like that, it's not because they believe in it, but they know that's a guaranteed block vote that they're trying to protect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most disenfranchised, patriotic people in this country have stopped voting.
Yeah.
So they're no use. So no point in me trying to get you don't vote. But the Muslim bloc vote, they vote, and they vote who their imams tell them to vote for. That's a bloc vote I'm trying to go for.
Yeah.
And there'll be other bloc votes out there. You know, the liberal elite, university educated people. There'll be other votes that they're trying to attract.
Do you think that's why Reform have started gaining traction? Because they have like a patriotic arc to their, not propaganda, but their
Rhetoric?
Yeah, even that seems a bit strong for
Goals?
Reform, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I think...
So they do have a Britain is good vibe to them, you know. Like Labour clearly hates everybody in England.
Yeah, but Tories always have that vibe.
Yeah, they do. I'm not suggesting that they don't.
Don't do anything with it.
No.
And always let us down.
Yeah.
I think Reform basically the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I think the Reform Party are doing well because they're not Labour and they're not the Tories. They have some half decent policies. I'm a Reform member at the moment.
Yeah.
We will just.
Oh, so you've joined Reform since?
Yeah.
Right.
Since last time we spoke, I joined Reform.
So is that as a member supporter, or are you going as a standing member?
I'm going to hopefully standing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And I came to the conclusion, well, who else do we vote for?
Yeah.
I've stood independent the last few times. I'm not standing independent again. I've got no chance of winning, and I can't afford to fund it anymore. So I'm going to have to stand for a party. And there's only one game in town. I could never stand for Labour.
No.
The Tories don't know who they are, so I can't stand for the Tories. Green and Lib Dems I would never think about.
No.
So it's, Reform is saying they want change. What does that change mean? They're quite vague at the moment, and that's probably on purpose. So that's so you can think what you want to change is what they want. 'Cause they just say change.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean what they're going to change is what you want.
Yeah.
Because you project onto that word of what
what
you
are they
want
gonna
change to
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So they're being clever about we're here for change. And we've got to a stage at the moment where it doesn't matter what they change. It can't be any worse than it is now.
No.
So if they want to tip up the table and let's see where the chips
That
fall.
seems to be a fairly common talking point at the minute.
Yeah.
Between most normal people, is
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
it cannot get worse.
Can't get any worse, and there's a chance it could get better.
Yeah.
So we know what we're going to get with Labour. It's shit, it's bankruptcy, it's more immigrants. We know what we're going to get with Tories. It's going to take longer to be shit. It's going to take longer to get more immigrants. It's going to take longer for us to have worse lives. Or we try a new party called Reform.
Yeah.
And Reform might not be the finished article. Reform might not get into government. Reform just might break the uni party enough that someone else may be able to come through, and other parties may come through. In 10 years from now, a party then may be the party that changes the country.
Yeah.
But a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step.
Yeah.
And Reform is, I think, is that first step, because we can't trust the Tories. They've let us down over 14 years. We've never been able to trust Labour all my lifetime. They're just communists. So we need to give someone else a go.
Yeah. Yeah, I quite agree.
Yeah. Have we started this podcast?
I hope so.
Yeah.
All right.
We've done it now.
Yeah. We'll just cut in at a good time. Yeah. So, because I did hear you on a podcast talking about how you joined, and I am not politically educated, but like for me, so what does that? You're going to stand. Does that mean you're going to stand for Manchester? Like, what does it actually mean if you say you're going to stand for them?
So I've joined the party. I've put my papers in to stand, but they have to vet you first.
Right.
So I'm now in the vetting process.
Right.
And we'll find out if they think I'm too far right or too extreme or whatever. So we'll find out next month or two. So where will I be standing? I don't know. So I might be standing where I live now, which is Warrington.
Right.
But I also could be standing maybe somewhere in Greater Manchester.
Right.
That's discussions at a later date.
Right.
If it's a general election, everywhere's going to be up for grabs.
Yeah.
But there may be a by-election between now and a general election. So if something happens in one of the Manchester seats, I'd be a prime candidate, hopefully, to stand there. And we will see.
Right. Brilliant.
Oh, good luck to you.
So this election coming up in May.
Yep.
That has no
That's local election.
That's
That's for local
Local
councillors.
council.
right. So that has no bearing on what you're going into.
No. So for Warrington and for Greater Manchester, there is no May election.
Right.
The local elections are 3 times every 4 years.
Right.
This year is the year off.
Right. Okay.
So next year there'll be local elections.
Right. Yeah. Again, I'm still really new to paying attention to it, and I thought, well, if I don't know, I might as well ask it because someone else might not.
So you can tell us that you don't really know yet, but say you do stand. What would be your policy ideas for Greater Manchester if you were to go for there?
So when you stand for a party, they've got the policies. So
Right,
you've got to go with their policies. The thing that I would like, and I'd be fighting for within the party, is for the biggest problem we've got is mass immigration.
Yeah.
That needs to end. We need to deport all foreign criminals in jail at the moment, and foreign criminals who are out of jail, served their time, all need to be deported. Within a couple of months, get one of those big stamp things you got on his deport, and they're gone. Simple as that. That'll get rid of 50, 60, 70,000 people out of the country of the worst kinds.
Yeah.
Because to get sent to jail in the first place, you've got to be horrendous to go to jail, unless you tweet online against the government. So
that's just for whites, though. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. 2-tier system there. So deport all them, and then we need to look at legal. Well, anyone who's riding the country illegally, deported.
Yeah.
I'd like us to pull out of the Convention for Refugees. I'd like us to pull out the WHO. I'd like us to pull out the European Court of Human Rights.
Yeah.
I want us to pull out of all these foreign bodies that have a say over the UK.
Yeah.
I've not made my mind
It's
up
not
yet,
even a say, though. A lot of them dictate.
because we've handed those powers over to them, so that they can dictate to us. So I'd pull out of all those organisations. I'd want a good look at NATO. Do we stay in NATO or not? I'd have a good look at that. I'm not sure either way. I'm not giving it enough thought.
Yeah.
So I'd like to pull sovereignty back to Parliament. I want Parliament making the laws and running this country, because we know how to get rid of governments and MPs we don't like. How do you get rid of the chief executive of the WHO?
No idea.
Well, we can't.
Don't even know who he is.
Exactly, and we can't.
Yeah.
Same with the European Court of Human Rights. We can't get rid of it. So we've given power over our lives to foreigners, and we have no say, and we cannot get rid of those people. That's not called democracy.
No, it's not. No.
So the people we give power to over our lives, we should always have in our back pocket the opportunity to get rid of them whenever we want, if enough people agree with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's democracy. So I'd look at that. We would have to get rid of, deport all the illegals who've turned up here. You know, this. I take no more asylum seekers, no more refugees. We don't care. We're full. Sort your own shit out. You're not coming here. What we might do is, if there's a hurricane in Taiwan or hurricane in the Congo, we may give so many million to make sure we supply tents and we've done the vaccines, so you don't all. I'm not saying we don't help people around the world. You know, if we want to, though, we can. But bringing people to the UK will be absolutely zero. I'm talking about Ukrainians as well. I would ask every Ukrainian to leave as well. You don't need to be here. And I'm sick of seeing Ukrainian men here, because what you are, a coward. You should be fighting for your own country, or you should be hiding in a basement in your own country. I don't want you in my country. And then we need to look at legal migration. We need to be speaking to millions of people here and saying to them, time you went home. I know you're Roma. I know you sell a big issue. I know you think that's a proper job, but it's not. It's time you went home.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. No more selling the big issue. Anyone who wasn't born in this country will pay more income tax, 1 or 2% on your tax code. You'll pay more income tax. Will heavily reduce any public services you can claim.
Yeah.
So your children can still go to school. I'm not that evil, but you know, the vast majority of benefits you will not be able to claim. Yeah. You won't ever be able to claim a pension.
Yeah.
Even if you stay here and work all your life, you'll never claim a pension in this country. We need to make it more and more uncomfortable for people who came here legally to stay here.
Yeah.
And then we need to probably say to them, we're going to give you a year, because after a year we're going to start deporting people, meaning legal people who are illegal. We're going to start cancelling your visas, and we're going to deport you. And if we deport you, we're going to give you the bill of your deportation.
Yeah.
And you own a house here, so we're going to forcefully sell your house for you, and we're going to take £175,000 off you, because that's the cost per deportation per family. But if you leave in the next year, you can sell the house yourself, and you can keep all the capital yourself, and that's nothing to do with
there's
us.
no fines, yeah.
So can we physically deport millions of people with planes? No, we can't.
No.
So we get.
But you can make policy to push them that direction.
So we make policy to make them want to go, because they've all come here for one reason, for a better life. And if we start making them pay more and get less, no benefits, eventually they go, why am I in this cold, wet country where no one wants me? I might as well go back to Uzbekistan and live in the hut.
Yeah.
At least it was warmer there. I had all my family and friends around me. And I've got a couple of grand in the bank here. Because I've been ripping off benefits for 6 months. And I'll take that money and go on. And that's how we do it. That's my first policy, is to end mass migration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think reform has got the nuts? The way it's, I don't know, like since I've been watching it the last few weeks, I've just lost a little bit of I just not seeing the strength in them just as much as what they're saying at the moment. Do you think they've still got the nuts to get
I have no idea. No. Who knows? I believe Boris Johnson in 2019.
Yeah.
We all can be fooled. We all can believe people who are saying the things we want to hear. Yeah. So we've all got to be careful that we're not sucking into those narratives, into that make-believe, because it's easily done. Yeah. Because we are a herd animal and we want to follow someone.
Even if reform do get in, they've still got to go through the House of Lords.
Well, it's worse than that.
Yeah.
It's civil service.
Yeah.
if they got in there to get anything done, they're going to have to do what Trump's done. They're going to have to take a hatchet to the state.
Yeah, he's just purged, hasn't
They're going to have to purge loads of departments. They're going to have to get rid of the top couple of layers of top civil servants and go, you're all redundant from today.
Yeah.
And you're all gone, because they're the barriers. They need to get rid of nearly all the quangos. So a quango is a non-government organisation. So what happened decades ago was let's say Minister of Education. Minister of Education would say, what do I know about education? But I've got £100,000 pay rise to do this job, so I'm on £200,000 now. Thank you, I'll keep the job. But decisions around the curriculum, I'm going to create a body that taxpayers will pay for, and I'm going to appoint people to that body who will then owe me a favour, and they can come up with a curriculum. And when it all goes wrong, I can go, wasn't me, it was the curriculum panel who did it all. And we've got 1,000 organisations like that, paid for by us, who are not elected, who are all working for ministers and the government. I want the Minister for Education to be in charge of education and take the flak when it goes wrong, so we can sack him. I don't want them palming off their work to other people. Yeah. And that's why nothing can get done. Because the minister will go, yeah, we need to change the education agenda. And then they realise, I can't. Because legally, we gave all that responsibility to that independent panel.
Yeah.
Even I can't tell them what to do.
So what's his job then?
Who knows? And education's a really good. Minister of Education is even better. Education has been devolved to councils for 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
So why do we need a Whitehall minister for education? Why do we need a Department of Education when everything has been devolved down to the councils? So maybe we need in Westminster 20 people in the Whitehall Education Department.
Yeah.
But we've got 10,000 with half a dozen buildings. What do they do? Because the councils do what all gets devolved to them. So all these things need looking at.
Yeah.
So that's what reform would have to do. Slash the size of the state. The first term, the first 4 years, 5 years, to be fair, they'll probably get nothing done. It'll be like going through a jungle with a big machete.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're going to have to do, is chop everything down. It'll only be if they get a second term, can they actually do something? Because they'll be blocked along the way. They're going to have to go in scorched earth. If they go in thinking, we'll talk them around, we'll meet them halfway, if that's their philosophy going into government, those 4 or 5 years will go so quickly. They'll then go, oh, we got nothing done, did we?
Yeah, got absolutely fucking nowhere.
Yeah. So he's going to have to go for scorched earth.
Do you reckon the problems are really that bad?
Yeah.
Or it's not just incompetence on the behalf of the government?
Oh, it's everything. But the higher up you go, there's less and less incompetence.
Yeah.
It's incompetent when
Sure?
Yeah.
Higher up, there's less incompetence.
Yeah. Let me go back to what I said before. You need to think about, these people aren't stupid.
No.
So,
I'm not saying that they're stupid, but you can be incompetent and be smart.
I suppose you can. But if you can't understand why people that high up are doing what they're doing, it's because we're the stupid ones.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say there's loads of incompetence. It's easy to say it's all incompetence. It's not all incompetence. It's that we think they're trying to achieve what we want them to achieve. They've got different aims. So their aim isn't necessarily to improve what we want them to improve the country, to reduce mass migration. If that was their aims,
Yeah, they'd do it.
they'd be doing it.
There wouldn't be 16,000 people.
And just because they
coming
can't,
over.
just because they're not doing it, it's a simple answer. Go, oh, they're just incompetent. They're not. They're achieving what they want to achieve. We just don't know what they want to achieve.
Yeah.
We need to think in their heads, think about what they're trying to achieve, and why would they want to achieve that? What's in it for them in the short term, medium term, long term? And it's very hard to get in some of these people's heads because we're not them, and we
But
don't.
it doesn't make sense. Their actions don't match up with the words.
again, you need to look at the outcomes, and
Yeah.
you need to look at
Like Starmer a year ago was
Yeah.
saying that a woman didn't have to have a cervix, and now
yeah,
they can. And
yeah. Well, what
but
happened?
they're so confusing with what they fucking say because nothing is consistent. And
But what's happened in between that?
Trump,
He got elected as prime minister.
yeah. Oh, he got elected. Yeah, yeah.
So saying women have penises
Yeah.
may have contributed to him being elected because he secured his base vote of the far left lunatics.
Mm-hmm.
That was enough to secure them. Now he's now he's in Parliament. Now all he's thinking about now is re-election.
Yeah.
So to be re-elected, I can't just rely on my far left people now because I'm pissing them off every day by cutting benefits, by cutting winter fuel allowance. I can't rely on them. I'm going to have to reach out to
Yeah.
more normal folk. Women don't have penises now.
Weird.
Big change.
Fucking ridiculous.
Big
Do you
change.
took us a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, and unless you're looking for socialism and communism, as they're aiming for socialism and communism, their actions don't make sense.
Yeah, but they absolutely are.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want
Yeah.
to Nick?
Not for the moment, thank you. But they absolutely are, and they have since Second World War.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just going to, you keep going, I'm just going to shut these windows.
All right.
Sounds like we're on a romantic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that after the Second World War, we didn't demonise Soviet Russia
Yeah.
and Stalin.
Why is that?
Well, that's for two reasons. The simple reason is Russians were on our side at the end of the war.
Yeah,
And I can understand to a certain extent. The real reason is our establishment and the elite were full of communists. And they wanted us to be communists.
right.
So therefore, they didn't want to demonise Soviet Russia because they wanted us to go down the same path as them. But, we demonised the Nazis.
But why do people keep wanting to head towards communism? It has never worked out well. Not once.
No, it hasn't. My theory on this, thought about a couple of years ago, my theory on this is it's innate. It's built into us. It's built into our DNA.
To be communists.
Yes. But communism only works on a micro scale.
Yeah.
So communism works when we live in tribes.
Yeah.
And there might be, 50, 100 people in the tribe. The tribal leader knows everybody by name. It's very hard to disadvantage someone when you know them and you know their mum, dad, and you was at their christening. But suddenly when the tribe is 50 million people, you don't know any of them, their numbers.
Yeah.
So when we're back down to the tribe, communism works because it's the only way we survived. You would have people sharing resources. We'd go out hunting. Today was a good day for you. You got a stag, I got nothing.
Yeah.
Well, we share because tomorrow, because we live next door to each other, my family's going without. Next week, it might be me who brings down the stag and I would share with you. When there's, when the neighbouring tribe attacks us, we all got to fight together.
Yeah.
And plus, we're all related. We're all intermarried. We're marrying cousins. Cousin marriage is a normal thing for humans, but the Western world grew out of that. So everyone's related. We live in small tribes, and communism is the only way we survive, by sharing, by giving people what they need, running it. But as that tribe then gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it then doesn't work on the macro level. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Hence why everybody...
It always ends up with someone being corrupt.
Of
And
course.
then people start starving.
Of course. But the reason why we won't take lessons from history is because deep down inside us, we know it's the right thing to do. But we don't live in tribes anymore.
No.
And we can't subconsciously understand, but we're programmed to want to do it.
Right, okay. That kind of makes sense, but I mean, we all know that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Not once,
Yeah.
ever. It's always ended with millions dying. Even in China, there's millions die every year.
Does it work for a corrupt leader for the 4 years they're in, though? Do they get rich?
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, it works for the elite.
Yeah.
Soviet Union, if you was in the Politburo,
Yeah, you'd be sound.
I mean, I was in Moscow in the early 80s, height of communism. and hardly any cars anywhere. But on the main roads, there was like bus lanes. And I asked somebody, "Oh, what's that?" I didn't know what. No, there was probably no bus lanes here then either.
Yeah.
Well, why is that different tarmac and all that? And I went, "Oh, that's for Politburo members only." So a couple of hundred people in Moscow had roads built for them.
They got the smooth tarmac.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it is annoying driving on cobbled roads, isn't it? You know.
Bloody hell. Wow.
But if you're in power, then the system's beneficial to you and to your children and to your genes, passing your genes on. But everybody else pays for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me that the leaders want to make them decisions. They're already making decisions for themselves anyway, aren't they?
Power corrupts.
Yeah.
We all know that to be true. All of us, even us who are thinking that I would never do that.
Yeah.
We are very corruptible.
No, 100%.
Oh, say someone like Starmer, I'd imagine he was corrupt before he went in, but someone honest, you start getting a call off, you get into the office and you get a call off Trump or someone, and they're inflating your ego, you can soon lose your sense of balance on that, aren't you? You're going to start feeling like the big man pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how it happens. So let's say suddenly, from nowhere, you're elected MP. That happens sometimes. You'll stand in a seat thinking I ain't got a chance in hell, and then the MP who's trying to keep his seat suddenly has a sex scandal. He was caught in a cellar with 9 little boys. Yeah. So he ain't winning, and suddenly you become an MP.
Wasn't a Labour Party candidate, was it?
Well, that scenario probably would be a Labour candidate. And suddenly, I mean, that's basically what happened with that Reform MP, Lee Anderson.
Yeah.
He stood for the Tories against a Labour sure win. And the Boris wave in 2019 that no one saw coming, and he woke up and went, "Shit, I've won." He didn't think he had a chance in hell of winning, so things can happen. So you win the election, all of a sudden you're like a semi-god. Well done, you're amazing. No one said you could win this seat. You won. The people know you. You understand the people. That's why they voted for you. You're fantastic. My mate's got a shop round the corner that does high-class suits, Savile Row. He wants to give you some so you can present yourself in Parliament. Oh, thank you. And he declares them. Not taking back, but he declares them. I'm not about anyone in particular now, so I'm not about Leander. So people don't think that I'm just making all this up. So, suddenly you're in Parliament, you've only seen it on TV, you see people there who have been politicians for years. You ring up any restaurant in London, best table, you can ring up last minute, you get a good table. People are taking you out for lunch, most expensive places. The bottle of wine's £500. And people are telling you how amazing you are. You will start to believe a little bit of that. You're bound to.
Yeah.
Maybe they're right. Maybe.
How do you stay grounded in that?
Exactly. And then suddenly your party then's in power.
Yeah.
So you get given a minister's job. Suddenly, you might be in charge of something crap. Let's think of something crap. You're the minister for Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland's not crap. I love Northern Ireland. But
I was going to say.
I've spent many family holidays because my stepdad is from Northern Ireland. I love Northern Ireland.
The minister for mussel picking on Northern Irish beaches. Yeah.
So, but on the grand scheme of things, minister for Northern Ireland isn't an important job.
Yeah.
We've abandoned Northern Ireland basically since Brexit. So now you're minister for Northern Ireland. The Prime Minister expects nothing from you. All he wants is for the IRA not to come back. So basically, all you got to do is nothing.
Yeah.
That's your job in Northern Ireland. Right. Now you're a minister, you're on £200,000 a year. You've got a bodyguard. You've got a chauffeur. You've got different houses now. That's making you feel more special.
All in the space of a couple of years.
And then there's some developments going in Northern Ireland. Microsoft want to build a multi-billion-pound factory there, and they're looking at government grants, and they want a really good deal. So Microsoft now are courting you. Would you like to come to Silicon Valley? Do you want to see this? We'll show you what we're going to build there. But we need a couple of billion off the government. But we're going to fund your next campaign. Your wife just wrote a book. We're going to buy 4 million copies of that illegally so no one knows. That'll give you £1 million and make your wife happy. And suddenly, people want a piece of you. Most of the time, you don't understand why they want a piece of you. You just know it's because you're a minister now.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to buy 4 million copies of my wife's crap book, is that really wrong? You know, it's not really bribery. They're buying some, and this is how it all starts, and this is how politicians become corrupted. Let's look at examples last year. Lord Ali buys Keir Starmer £10,000 worth of clothes.
Cute.
Which man has ever bought you clothes?
Never.
No.
My dad when I were a kid.
Yeah. Well, then we find out Lord Ali then bought his wife clothes, bought Rachel Reeves clothes, bought the Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner's clothes. It's like, that's very nice of him, but these are tens of thousands of pounds. Or he doesn't want anything in return.
Yeah.
Well, he might not want anything in return. It might not be, here's that, I want that.
He might want his ear.
But that's not how bribery works. Bribery works as in, I want you to see me in a good light. Because one of these days, I might need a favour. And you looking upon me as a friend might be enough to push you over without me ever having to ask.
Yeah.
Because I need people looking after my back. That's how it isn't normally brown envelopes. It's more subtle than that.
Yeah, of course.
Again, because these people are not idiots.
No.
Well, not all of them.
Some of them
I
are
refuse to believe that they're all geniuses.
No, I'm not. It depends how
Or intelligent.
It depends how I hope they get. Politicians, they all can be thick as shit. Most of them, I get that. But if you're a top civil servant,
Yeah.
then I don't think
They have gone through the ranks.
Yeah, I don't think they're stupid. I just don't think we don't understand what they're aiming to achieve.
Yeah, it's just frustrating that you even have to ask that question, though, isn't it? If you're in government, it should be to help the people, and that's it. But
That's quite naive.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't even believe. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
It'd be lovely if that was. If it was
Sounds
the case,
very
wouldn't it?
utopian and communist of you, Dan.
The only reason, obviously, I'd be corrupt. 2 suits and I'd be going communism. But I'd like to think the only reason I would ever apply to stand would be because I want to improve things for the people.
I'm sure 99.9% of politicians start off like that.
Yeah.
Of course they do. I've spoken to prime ministers, deputy prime ministers, ministers, all the way down to local councillors. I've met hundreds of them, and they all start because they want to improve where they live or what they want. Hitler wanted to improve Germany and the German people.
Yeah.
Look what he did. So just having the desire to want to help people
Doesn't mean that you don't have twisted ideas.
doesn't mean it's going to achieve what you want it to achieve. Hence why communism doesn't work. Communism is great on paper.
Yeah.
You read it and you go, God, that's fair.
Yeah.
If we all could live like that. But why communism doesn't work is because then we introduce humans to the mix.
The human factor is always
Yeah.
an X factor, isn't it?
Exactly. We have no idea. We have no idea what humans are going to do.
No.
But we've got social scientists across the world always trying to work out what humans will do in certain circumstances and positions. And they're nearly always wrong because we do not know what humans will do until they do it. And then, right, we know what they do in that situation now. Now we can do something about things. But projecting what they will do in a made-up situation, in the environment, we have no idea.
Yeah.
We've been proven wrong so many times when we think, I mean, we see it with inventions. People will come up with a new idea. This is going to sell. We're putting 14 million into this, and then no one buys it. It's like, we did polling. We asked people. People liked it. They think it's a good product, and no one buys it.
Yeah.
Because we have no idea.
Yeah, that's why fads are such a weird and fickle thing, aren't they? Yeah.
And then we have to look at people, who, to a certain extent, we're all we're all slightly twisted and can be.
Yeah.
One of my favourite quotes is from Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan is quoted as saying, "It's not enough that I beat my enemies." Oh, no. I'll come back to that. What did he say?
You're gonna have to look it up, Tom.
Yeah, go on.
No. I'll get it. I'll get
you'll
it.
get it. Kill everyone.
That wasn't Genghis Khan, was it?
It's this. He says, it's not enough that I'm successful, but everybody else must fail.
Right.
Yeah.
How twisted do you have to be to think like that? It's not enough that I win.
He was a fairly twisted
He
guy,
was,
though,
yeah,
was
yeah.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah,
But he was living in a medieval savage time.
Yeah. Do you know that something like 16% of the population of China, northern India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, 16% of the people living there have Genghis Khan's genes.
Yeah.
He was a prolific raper, wasn't he?
He had thousands and thousands of concubines and stuff like that, and fathered thousands of children.
Some people argue he wasn't all about raping, though, was it? He was a bit of a rock star.
It might have been a bit of
It's like
both,
a
but he
top-
was pretty fucking rapey.
Yeah, I know. I think some people argue.
I don't think you could argue that he wasn't.
I think but I think
Pretty out of order,
I think some of it
actually.
was consensual, but only because I'll sleep with him so he doesn't slaughter my whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah, there would have been a lot of that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like your other 3 kids?
Yeah, I thought it was something like half the population has 0.1% of his DNA in them or something.
That makes sense, doesn't it? You know.
Who is it who always says it? I can't remember, but yeah, he did well.
He
Did
did well for
well.
himself.
He
He
did
did
all right.
well.
Yeah, he did
He
all
did
right,
well.
really.
Yeah.
He did have a massive empire in the time of absolute savagery.
Biggest land empire ever.
Yeah.
Continuous. Largest continuous land empire ever. He got all the way to, I think it was Vienna.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
He was the same crack, wasn't it? He left it to his kids and they all ruined it.
Yeah.
Same old story.
Sounds
Yeah.
about right, doesn't it?
Wow. So with what you're doing now,
What's the saying on that? Like, the first generation builds it, second generation doubles it, and the third generation fucks it.
oh yeah.
That's normally
No,
how
that's
it
it.
goes.
I heard something different. First generation creates it. Second generation spends it. Third generation kills it.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both. That sounds right as well, doesn't it?
Maybe both.
You get the
Yeah,
odd,
yeah.
you get the odd one where the
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
the kid's a good
Yeah.
egg.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Will
look
do.
at Ford. They've had 5 generations of absolute winners, haven't they?
Well,
Yeah.
Until the last one when they started building EVs. How much did they spend on that EV plant in America? And they've pretty much shut it down because
Have
they're
they?
not selling. Yeah, they started building the F-150 electric trucks, didn't they? And they rolled them out across all of America, and just no one's fucking buying them.
Was it?
There's hundreds of thousands of them sat on these parking lots, not selling.
See, yeah.
again, because they thought it would. Because people don't know what humans are going to do until
I
they
could
do
have
it.
told them that though.
Yeah.
If they'd have asked me, I could have told you, don't fucking bother.
Well, I know for a fact I don't know anything. Because the first time I saw someone texting someone,
Yeah.
so 25 years ago, I was working at Manchester Airport, and one of the girls I worked with, I was like, "What are you doing?" She went, "Oh, I'm texting." "What's that?" She went, "Oh, I'm sending a message to someone else with a phone like mine." I went, "All right," and I walked off, and I remember thinking to myself, "Yeah, that won't take off."
I remember having the same thought about an iPhone. I'll never need one of them. What a waste of fucking money.
So if someone would have said to me, "Nick, I've got this thing called texting, you buy into it now for a tenner," I'd have went, "No, thank you." So I had to give up on that. I remember the first time I sat in a coffee shop in the UK. Again, must have been the same time, 25 years ago. I can remember, it was Caffè Nero. Like Caffè Nero is not
Yeah.
American, it's an English. It's an English version. And I was sat in there, again at Manchester Airport, breaks, they all went to get a coffee. So I'd go with them. I don't drink coffee, but I wouldn't buy £5 coffee anyway. So I'd start talking to them. And I remember thinking, coffee shops, these aren't going to take off. First of all, we're a nation of tea drinkers.
Yeah.
And why would anybody want a cup of tea or coffee? We've got now, we have to do it because we're at work.
Yeah.
But if I was at work, I'd be in a pub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can get a coffee in a pub if you want a coffee in a pub. These aren't taking off.
Oh, how wrong you were.
Yeah.
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 Why have coffee shops taken off? I fucking don't understand that at all.
I don't know.
It's for some people who go, it's a bit too early to have a beer yet, and it will stop at a coffee shop.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Who's going in a coffee shop after 12?
I resent paying £5 for a fucking coffee.
Yeah.
I think it's the modern version of the greasy spoon, where an old day would go in for a cup of tea and chat with her friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do
Yeah, but
sandwiches,
you weren't getting ripped off in a greasy spoon.
but we've all got so much more money and we want to be ripped off now because we think we're posh sat in there.
I'm too fucking poor to think
Yeah.
like that.
So I think that's the market they went for.
Yeah.
But I never would have thought there was a chance of that taking off. I'll tell you what else is failing as well. Over the next couple of years, there'll be no more self-checkouts in supermarkets. They're taking them all out
I wonder why.
because we're untrustworthy.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah, we're untrustworthy.
That is another thing that I could have predicted for
Is that,
you.
no,
Yeah.
is that what's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
Because I seen Asda were getting boycotted the other day for like a facial recognition system. You know, they're upgrading it.
Right.
What was it?
Oh, yeah. So they are trying to combat the...
Yeah. Oh, so this must be all linked. I didn't even know. But basically, they did it was something. There's two things were linked. It was massive invasion in privacy anyway, and you were recorded for it, and then your face could be used to the police and everything. And they were saying boycott Asda. So that, I guess that's their retaliation to try and stop
Or just don't fucking steal.
Yeah. I mean that's the easy one. Some supermarkets are reporting that they're selling more carrots than they buy, but they're selling hardly any avocados. I don't know what's happening to the avocados.
Right.
So people are buying kilos of avocados and putting carrots.
That makes sense.
That's grand. I think you were with me once. Do you remember? I got caught doing it. I bet I was 15,
Right.
and I'm not proud of it still. But I scanned a massive,
when it was
massive pack of
Safeway.
sausages.
Yeah, I remember.
Me and Tom, it probably wasn't 15, 16, 17. Every Saturday morning, once we'd been out and got hammered the night before, we'd go and get fry up. And as I scanned these sausages, it came up saying, Sainsbury's sausages, 1p. And I just I had that little pause, and I was like, yeah, go on then, 1p. Like, I only earn £3 an hour, and these are £4 a pack. And some bloke saw me over my shoulder do it immediately, and he made me feel like a piece of shit. Which I was being, being a piece of shit. But he'd seen me press yes, and he went, shoplifting's not okay here. And he made me put all my stuff down and walk out the shop.
You feel like such a scumbag, wouldn't you?
Felt like scum. I would never do that now.
Yeah.
But I made a mistake back then.
No.
You know.
But like we talked about corruption before, temptation, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's temptation.
You were given the option, so you took it, didn't you?
Yeah. What an idiot.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. It's just on a much grander scale. Yeah, rather than a £4 sausage.
Yeah. No, imagine me getting turfed off in police car for a pack of sausages. Anyway, I'm going to nip to lose. Anyone else need a break?
Yeah. We're back.
Before we move on, I just wanted to ask you, I was trying to say before, now that you're trying to represent reform, and obviously you have a podcast and you do loads of chats with other people, and you're pretty straight talking, what does that mean for you giving your opinion?
Oh, nothing changes.
Nothing
changes.
Right.
I'll still be speaking to people from different parties.
Yeah.
No, I can't change.
Yeah, and would there be any pressure coming down from that?
Well, we will see, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wondered, but as soon as I heard you say it on another podcast, I thought, because you'll say exactly what you think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I just wondered,
And your mate on your podcast.
Pardon?
Your mate on your podcast will on Nick Talks.
Yeah.
He does not give a fuck.
Yeah. We've stopped that podcast now because...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we couldn't get the time together anymore.
Right.
So, unfortunately, that stopped. I'm just going to carry on.
You're just going to keep doing
what
you do?
I have conversations with anybody I want to have a conversation with.
Well, you've got a lot of people that you do reoccurring ones with, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should get the press and journalist on here. because he's obviously from Preston.
Yeah.
We actually, do you know, we tried finding him out because I've listened to him a few times with you, and he's a good talker, really interesting bloke.
Yeah.
Very hard to get hold of, actually.
Oh well, I'll link you up.
Yeah, if you would, that'd be good.
Tell him we exist, and if he wants to.
We're as difficult to find.
No one else has got our name because
No.
no one's stupid enough to use Wasted Nights, apparently. Yeah, we're not too hard to find.
So we were just talking off air then, Nick, about this whole right woke bullshittery that's going on with Douglas Murray. Is it Murray?
Yeah.
Yeah, Douglas Murray and Dave Smith on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the debate between the two?
2 or 3 minutes.
Right. Okay. What were your thoughts?
I like Douglas Murray. Very clever man. Very articulate.
Very
It's
clever
the
man.
first time I've ever seen him make a mistake. Not on the topic, but he questions the other guy on never being to Israel and never seeing Gaza. And he didn't just say it once, he made a point of it, and he made a point
We
of
did 40 minutes on it.
talk about that he'd not been.
Yeah, the whole 40 minutes at the beginning was basically that whole argument. Well, I've been, so I'm right.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, I only saw the clip I saw was a couple of minutes long.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
It may give you an extra perspective. It may give you extra knowledge and experience going to those places. But just because you've not been to those places doesn't mean what you believe in your opinion is incorrect. Because what you're doing there is you're coming from a position of authority.
Yeah.
I know better than you because I've been there. I know better. I'm not saying he said this bit, but people say I know better than you because I'm a psychologist. I know better than you because I've been to private education. I know better than you because we never should argue on those issues. We should argue on the opinion itself.
Yeah.
Your opinion is either correct or it's not correct.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you have a degree in the subject. It doesn't matter if you've written 19 books on the subject. Your opinion is either correct or it's not correct. And it's the first time I saw Douglas lose his way on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was arguing on the behalf of an expert after we've just had 4 years of trust the science and no one should fucking trust that science. And I felt like it was a mistake on his behalf. So.
Yeah, it was not a point worth pursuing.
Yeah.
He'd already... What he could have done is scored a subconscious point by having him admit, oh, I've never been. And then he should have said, oh, okay. He would have made the points been made that the audience now know you've never been. And I've been a million times. That point's been made without me having to emphasise the point and move on. But it's debating's not a science, and
No, it's not.
And
It furthered I think his whole point for going on that podcast was to say, you boys need to slow down a little bit, wasn't it? He started off with that. He clearly is quite concerned that anyone, people like us, get on, have a beer and give out this opinion.
Yeah.
And we have no...
Ill-informed opinions was what he was trying to get at, wasn't it? But it just came across as very elitist.
Yeah.
Again, because there's many people who are just as educated as Douglas Murray, even more so than Douglas Murray, who can use that same argument against Douglas Murray.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to be careful of fighting our battles by trying to use authority, trying to use not necessarily experience, but those.
He was trying to use a credential to make him right.
That's what I'm looking
You know
for.
what I mean?
Credentials.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be about credentials.
No,
It should be about
you're either right or you're wrong.
Yeah. I can either prove I'm right or you prove I'm wrong. It's got nothing to do with.
I'm not proved right because I have a credential.
Yeah.
I'm right
Yeah.
because I'm right.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was a strange one to see from him. So I quite like him.
Oh, I do.
Very interesting bloke, isn't he?
And with technology these days, it almost doesn't matter if you've been to college or uni or not, because all the information's there if you want it.
Yeah.
If you're an intelligent person, you can go out and do the research. you can learn the same stuff, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
And it doesn't matter if you've been to Israel or not, because
No.
all the videos are online.
Yeah.
So it was a flawed argument. I've never seen him use a flawed
Well,
argument.
he's been strawmanning himself afterwards, hasn't he? He keeps saying, "Oh, yeah, but if Dave Smith, the comedian, came into a hospital and said he was going to be your surgeon, you wouldn't accept that." It's like, yeah, but that's not what he's doing.
No.
He's giving an opinion on the surgeon that's doing the job.
Yeah.
Like, he shouldn't be cutting your fucking arteries open.
Yeah.
You know?
It sounds like to me that I think Douglas is, what's what I'm looking for, is emotionally connected to this subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's clouded his judgment a little bit.
I'm sure. I mean, if he's been to Israel as many times as he has,
Yeah.
and he's seen, he was there just after October 7th.
Yeah. I think
I'm
I read
sure that
somewhere
would
that his
cloud your
boyfriend's
judgment.
Jewish, his husband's Jewish or something.
Right.
That may or may not be true, but I remember reading that. But maybe he's emotionally involved in this, and emotions get the better of us sometimes.
Get better of everyone.
Yeah.
There's no one not susceptible, is there?
Exactly.
Unless you're a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. I've invited Douglas on my podcast a couple of times.
Have you?
Not got back to
I'm
me.
not interested.
Yeah. But he follows me on Twitter,
Oh, does he?
and he's mentioned me once or twice.
Right.
Oh, nice. Where is he? Is he down south? He was south, wasn't he?
Douglas Murray. He now lives in New York.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he emigrated to New York a couple of
yeah.
years ago.
I'd hardly paid any attention to him until that podcast, to be honest.
He's super anti-Islam at the minute.
Yeah.
Oh, is
For
he?
whatever. Yeah. He's argued against it for a long time, but just recently he's like kicked into overdrive, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's wrote some books on it. You know, the slow death of Europe.
Yeah.
He wrote another one. I think it was called Islamophobia. He perceives Islam as a major threat.
I suppose as a gay man you would, wouldn't you? You're in real danger there.
Yeah.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I felt ignorant today. I was listening to someone speak about, you rope Muslims and Islamic people into the same boat, and someone put off quite a good argument as how it's two different things. If you're an Islamist or a Muslim, would you know? The
Sliding
difference
scale. I mean, it's there is a difference. The difference between the average Muslim you know and work with,
Yeah,
and the one you don't know who wants to kill you, your family, your kids, and blow up
yeah,
your town. So no, there is a difference. The connector is the religion.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
both of them are Muslims. Both of them are saying they're following the Book of Muhammad and they're following the scriptures. For me, I don't think Islam is an existential threat to the West or to the UK. I think it's a danger, and I think it's going to cause many problems, and it is causing many problems. But I don't see it as a threat because have you ever been to any Muslim countries?
I haven't, no.
No. Shitholes.
Yeah.
Unless they've got oil,
Yeah, they're a shithole.
they're shitholes.
We haven't got any oil.
No, but the countries, like people always go, oh, Dubai. Well, Dubai is a shithole apart from the bit that where they spend the money and that's only like that because of the Western world. They've turned it into a play area for the Western world. It's not a threat. It needs solving. I think Islam itself needs a reformation.
So an enlightenment.
Yeah, Christianity was a lot like Islam
Yeah.
1,000 years ago.
Yeah, before they went through the enlightenment.
Yeah, and that's what it needs. And from what I read, it's coming.
Yeah.
And the internet will force Islam into a reformation.
Yeah.
Because
It can't stay archaic in
Yeah,
modern times,
yeah, because-
especially not with things like AI coming online and quantum computing. And
yeah. Well, even more basic than that, people now can Google what Muhammad said
yeah,
and find out. I can't believe he said that.
Yeah.
So some Christian told me that Muhammad said da. He did, and Muhammad did this.
yeah.
He did. So all that's beginning to fall apart.
The same thing that happens in Christianity.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Hence why the religious books are always in a foreign language.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible was in Latin. No one
Yeah.
could speak Latin unless you were educated, and you had to rely on a priest to tell you what God wants you to do.
Yeah.
The Quran is written in Arabic. Most of these countries don't speak Arabic, so it's the imam who tells you what Muhammad said in the book.
Yeah.
And then when you start Googling it and finding out, you realise none of this is true.
Yeah.
So there will be a reformation. I would like to see Islam split up into different sects, more so than it is now, a bit like Christianity. And I'd like to see a Mosque of England.
Yeah.
So we have a version of Islam that is suitable for England, just like we have a Church of England.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And we may end up getting that.
I think that might be the most reasonable response I've ever heard on it. Genuinely, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah, because I don't care what people. I don't. You should have the freedom to worship what you want to worship.
Yeah.
I may disagree with Islam. I may disagree with other things, but I shouldn't have the power to stop you
There's
doing
parts
what,
of Hindu that I disagree
Yeah,
with. There's
exactly.
parts of Christianity. Yeah.
Exactly. So people should be able to worship freely, but it needs to change if it's going to fit into the West. And most of the Muslims who live here want it to fit in, because all they're doing for them, is it really a religion or is it tradition?
Yeah.
And we're technically Christians. Do you go to church?
Yeah, occasionally.
Right? Do you go to church?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would identify best with.
Exactly. So how strong is the Muslim faith in Western Muslims?
Yeah.
I think we perceive it to be a lot stronger than it really is. And I think many Muslims project that they're religious only because they're just as scared as what will happen if they don't.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, another reason why no one should listen to me, that I'm always wrong. I remember being in school, 14, most of my friends were Asian, a Muslim at school. And I remember thinking to myself, in a decade or two from now, there'll be no mosques in this country because my friends and all their kids, and when they've had kids, won't be going to mosques because we don't go to church anymore now. They'll be westernised and their religion will die just like ours are. And to a certain extent, that would have been true if it wasn't for mass immigration.
Yeah.
Because we're importing more and more people from those countries, let's say Pakistan, poorly educated, brainwashed, clan and tribal, into our country, who then go to mosque and enforce what it was like back home. And the more westernised Muslims get dragged along as well because they just want peace and quiet.
Yeah.
So if we're not,
they don't want to hear it. Yeah.
if we'd not had the mass immigration, I think a lot of the Western Muslims would have been more westernised.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a lady on your podcast. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, Candid.
Yeah.
She's called Lubna.
Lovely.
Yeah.
What she had to say was very interesting.
Yeah,
Wasn't
yeah.
it? That's never really been explained to most people. It's all right. There's nothing wrong with a Pakistani coming over to this country, but it's what part are they coming from?
Yeah.
There are different tribes over there. There are different types of
Yeah.
people.
So most people from Pakistan who come here come from the tribal shithole area.
Yeah.
No education, never had education, don't know anything, and we import them here.
Yeah.
We don't import the more educated ones from Karachi and Islamabad.
Yeah.
They stay there or they go somewhere else. We import the really poor areas of Pakistan.
Why is that?
That's because when they started coming over in the 60s, of course, from the poorest areas wanted to leave.
Yeah.
So they came here, and then there's a connection. Oh, my cousin Abdul is now living in Rochdale. Me and my family are going to live with Abdul. And then they all go. And then, oh, my sister Selena, she's there now. I'm going. And so you have those areas where they all come from the same areas.
Yeah.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
I remember speaking to a Muslim Pakistani girl 10 years, or more like 5 years ago. And she was telling me when her dad, when they emigrated here, I think she came over, she was about 25, when they moved over, she said how shocked her dad was. They lived in Karachi, which is the old capital of Pakistan. And when they came over here, she said her dad was disgusted at the Pakistani people living here. And she said all he kept saying was, we're Pakistani and they're Pakistani. Everyone's going to think we're like them.
Really?
Yeah, and that's when she was the first person to explain to me, these people from Pakistan are not the best people in Pakistan. You're importing basically the rednecks.
Yeah.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being a redneck.
She said that's who you're importing, the hillbillies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she goes, people like me and my family come from Karachi. We're quite metropolitan, and my dad was disgusted when he'd see Pakistani people stinking and smelling. He'd go, oh, people think we're just like them.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a class thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, because half of Pakistan is just like Afghanistan.
Yeah, just tribal warfare.
Yeah. It's just
in the middle of the mountains.
It was the British who made the border.
Yeah,
but before that, it was basically all the same thing, just tribal and living in the hills, killing each other.
Yeah. I think she made a point, didn't she, when if you say Islam's not too much of a threat to this country, and I think her point was it wasn't a threat to Pakistan at one point, was it? But it was because wasn't it majoritively Hindu, Pakistan?
No.
Was it not? Is it? Maybe I might be.
Well, it might have been. Would have been predominantly Hindu before Islam came along.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
I thought it was a bit more recent than that. I thought she'd give a few examples of countries that it's already become the majority.
So the one people
religion.
talk about when they talk about that is Lebanon.
yeah.
So after the Second World War, Lebanon was predominantly a Christian country, and then they had a civil war. Many Christian Lebanese left. You find them all over the world. Arab Muslims emigrated there. They have more children, and now Lebanon is 66% Muslim. So a lot of people talk about Lebanon, about how demographics can change in the country.
Right.
In the UK at the moment, I think the Muslim population of the country is about 5%.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
It's not high. It's very concentrated in certain cities and towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably on our side a lot. It's scaremongering on our side as well, because I'll have so many posts come up to me and say, they've taken over this much out. All the crap like, Muslims are now after not walking your dogs in the parks and stuff. Now, someone has probably said that at some point, but it's not a real thing, say. But it'll start turning people against.
Yeah, I mean, some of that's true, as in some of it's just made up, but some of it is true. There was a committee formed by the Welsh government, and one of their recommendations was about banning dogs. It didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But that thing was discussed.
They've been discussing the same thing in prisons, haven't they, with search dogs, sniffer dogs.
It's already been found out now that Muslims are not searched by search dogs in prisons. Are not.
They're not?
They're not.
Why?
Because it's Islamophobic, because they don't want to be near dogs.
It's not Islamophobic.
They don't want to be near dogs. So we have, for years now...
Don't commit crime then.
Yeah, well, that would be the answer. Yeah. But that all got found out the last couple of days. It's been actually confirmed now. Muslims in prisons are not
subject to sniffer dog searches.
Yeah.
Well, the answer to that is just don't fucking commit crime, and then you don't have to be subject to it.
Yep.
Yeah, no one wants to be.
No one wants to be sniffer dog. No, it's fucking horrible.
There's been many
it's
times.
horrible when you're going through a bloody airport and the sniffer. There's a panic, isn't there, when a sniffer dog comes to you in an airport? It's a real thing.
Imagine it. Yeah.
Shit, I haven't got anything on me, have I? No, I've definitely not. No. Fucking, why is it walking towards me?
But if you just turned around and said, "I'm scared of dogs, please don't bring that near me," they'd be like, "Shut
Fuck
up."
off. Yeah. Get that dog to search you. Yeah.
But these things aren't new. We've been making exceptions for immigrants all my life.
Concessions.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And you can never give enough concessions. It was the late 60s, and we brought in a motorcycle law about helmets. apart from Sikhs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sikhs don't have to wear helmets. So
Yeah.
there's a concession we never should have made.
Yeah.
And we do it all the time.
To be fair, I don't think you should have to wear a helmet on a bike.
Different discussion altogether.
Yeah.
But the point is, if we have a law,
Yeah.
should that law
It should
apply to everybody,
encompass everyone, yeah,
regardless of anything else? Because if Sikhs don't have to wear helmets, well, I'm a Lutherian Jedi Knight, and we don't like seatbelts. Am I allowed now not to wear a seatbelt? That's my religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can show you the holy document.
A pastafarian. Yeah.
So
Is that still a thing? Pastafarians? That was a thing for a while, wasn't it? There was
Well,
people. Yes, people were getting
I know what
fucking
you
passport photos taken with colanders on their head, weren't they?
I know there was
Trainers.
one. I know there was one guy. I didn't know it turned into.
Yeah, it was a real fucking thing.
that
100%. Pastafarians.
We're just gonna pause for a sec. Get us back.
Yeah, no, it was a real thing. There was people taking passport photos with a colander on the head.
right.
Yeah. Quality.
Ridiculous.
But
But it was playing on religious laws. Same thing, getting a concession on a religious law.
Exactly, and none of it should be allowed. None
No.
of it should be allowed. There has to be living in a free country requires you paying some sort of price for that. So to be free, you've got to risk being a victim of crime.
Yep.
You've got to risk making the wrong choices. You've got to risk many things, because if you don't risk those things, then you're not a free person.
Yeah.
Because you'll have the government taking away our roles, responsibilities, our movement, our speech, which they're doing already, just so they can say these things aren't going to happen. So freedom comes with a price. And
Freedom isn't safe.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Same with religion. You can follow any religion you want to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Well, that comes with consequences. You might not like, you're a Muslim, so therefore you don't eat pork. Fine. But don't tell me I can't eat pork. Don't complain when I'm doing a barbecue and cooking bacon or whatever that you can smell pork. Well,
It's not my responsibility.
no, you don't eat it, but you can live yours. So everything's about consequences.
Yeah,
but we have many people now, and it's our fault. It's our fault that we've allowed so many different religions and ethnic minorities in this country to think that they're special. And the truth is, they're not special. The truth is, they should be thanking us every day that they live here, that our fathers, our ancestors built this country and died and sacrificed and sweat blood and tears for this country. The new arrivals turned up and now enjoying the benefits that our ancestors delivered.
Yeah.
Now, to a certain extent, that's fine, but then don't complain that this country isn't making concessions for what it's like where you came from. You had what you had where you came from.
Yeah, there's a reason
But
why you left.
It was a shithole. It wasn't
Yeah.
good enough.
Yeah.
So we keep allowing immigrants to come to places and then slowly over time turn it into the crap hole they came from. They don't do it knowingly. That isn't their plan. They just don't know any better. So we've got to educate them better and make them integrate better. That what they want is what we have, not what they think
Yeah.
they had at home.
Yeah. Yeah, so you think there's a bit of romanticising the past of what they had?
For for the kids of those immigrants, yes.
Yeah.
We have lots of them who, I've worked with kids who, their parents were born here. It was their grandparents who were the immigrants. Their parents were born here. They're born here. And when you ask them, yeah, I'm a Pakistani, I'm a Bangladeshi. Well, you're third generation now. Yeah. You shouldn't be thinking like that.
Yeah.
But we've allowed these people to move here and still be foreigners in this country.
With a lack of integration.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, we had more British Muslims joining ISIS than we have in the British Army.
What, more British Muslims joining the British Army?
No, joining ISIS.
Than the whole of the British Army.
Right. Of Muslims in the whole British Army.
Right.
So that's how well integrated they are. Yeah. So, I think there's something like 500 Muslims in the British Army.
Yeah.
At the height of ISIS going to Syria, we had more than that of our young people going to join ISIS. Wow. That's how integrated they are.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bizarre, isn't it? It's hard as well. I mean, English people are a polite nation. I was just thinking when you were saying about the barbecue, if we went over to Dubai and they said, just so you know, Dubai might be a terrible example, but you can't do a barbecue outside if it's pork. No problem. Your country, no problem.
Yeah.
You just we wouldn't even question it.
No, you wouldn't bat an eye, would you?
No, we've always said about emigrating to Australia or New Zealand. We didn't think anything of filling all the forms out, paying all the money, doing all the things you had to do to get to that country. It's just,
well, it cost us a fortune to do.
Yeah, it's a bomb. And you went through the process exactly how you're supposed to. You never considered, I'll just go over my visa.
I had to take I didn't actually have to in the end, but I had to argue that I didn't need to take an English test to get my New Zealand residency.
Oh, yeah.
And I was being asked this by a Chinese chick who could barely speak English.
Yeah, you had to do that in Australia.
Fucking ridiculous. They wanted to charge me $600 for it.
The English. So did you not have to do it?
No, because I argued successfully that I could only speak English.
There was no option in Australia. You had
really,
to, and it was hard. Like if you didn't read it, I think it was a level.
Really,
there was a chance you were going to fail.
No,
but if you were Chinese or whatever, you were given,
whatever. I went full Karen on it. I was like, I want to speak to your manager. This is ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
It was. I'm not fucking paying Spain. Well, it was $600 a person. So both me and Faye had to cough up $1,200.
It's pretty wild that the only people who shouldn't be taking an English test really are the English.
Yeah, maybe.
Really,
it's our language.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like saying to get in this country, if you're English, you have to take an English test at the hardest level.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean,
well,
yeah.
I was in Detroit and I was backpacking on America once, and I'm in Detroit on my own, and I'm trying to find the Motown Museum. It's a little house that was the studio. So I'm walking down the street and I heard some guy behind me go, "Hey dog, you know?" So I'm sorry. What did you say? He went, "Dog," a big black guy. Dog. I could hear the word dog at the beginning. And I went, could you say that again? And he went, "Man, don't you speak English?" And I went, and then in my best Hugh Grant accent, I went, "I think you'll find, sir, I am English." And he just walked off.
So you didn't make friends then?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
"I think you'll find, sir, I am English."
Pretty dodgy place to go now is Detroit.
It was dodgy then.
Yeah.
Really?
It was the only place in America anytime I ever felt unsafe.
Yeah.
I arrived in Detroit in early evening, 7 p.m, on my own, backpack on, and I'm walking around downtown. I'm trying to find a cheap hotel. The hotel I wanted to go to, I got there, been demolished. This is before the internet, you'll have it all sorted now. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I can't afford these big hotels. I'm walking around, and I can't remember if it was a guy. I was asking the guy about cheap hotels or something, and he says, he basically said this. He said, "You need to find the first hotel and check in." He went, "You're walking around here with that big backpack on. You look like a tourist. You look like you got money." He goes, "You're going to get robbed very soon.
Yeah.
Go to the nearest hotel and check in and get rid of that big rucksack." That scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I bet it did. Everybody's packing over there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they don't mess about, do they?
No.
What did you? Where did you go in America then? You actually went backpacking?
I've been a few times backpacking now, so
Right.
I've been everywhere apart from the West Coast, California. I've not been to California, but I've been everywhere in between and everything.
Wow.
So from New York to Washington DC,
It's a
Chicago,
cool place.
been to Hawaii, hired a car once, and we went all these little places in between. Memphis,
Right.
Florida.
Yeah, Florida.
Brilliant.
It was a real culture shock for me. We went to Montana, and we went to just a little hick town rodeo, and I was only like 14 or 15. It was like a family holiday, and we went to this rodeo at night, and it was basically all the local farmers had turned up to watch it. That was it. It was the only people that were there, and they were all leaning against this giant railing. And they're all packing 2 Colt 45s on each. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? This is insane.
Yeah. Cowboys.
Yeah.
But everybody was putting the best guns on the hip to go to the... It was a wild experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
I went to a gun range in Hawaii and fired things like Beretta 9mm and this and that. When I was in Vietnam, I fired an AK-47.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
A friend of mine was in Vietnam, and she was firing an AK-47, and she got offered for $500 she could shoot a bazooka at a cow.
Yeah, I got offered the same.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, you should have done it.
Yeah.
You should have done it.
Sounds cheap.
Does, doesn't
Yeah.
it? How much would a rocket cost?
And a cow.
And a cow,
Yeah. Good price. That's the thing with English though. It's like when you go abroad anywhere. I think France, even the police carry, because we don't see anyone carry a gun.
Yeah.
Other than our armed police, which
Yeah.
is few and far between, isn't it? It's uncomfortable to see anyone with a gun.
Yeah,
it is.
We're one of the few countries in the world who don't have an armed police.
Here in New Zealand.
Isn't it? Yeah.
New Zealand don't carry.
Oh, right.
They have in the car, but they don't carry on the hip.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, it's
They have to ring up. 'Cause our friend was a cop in New Zealand. They if they get into a situation, they have to ring up the
get permission to take it out of the car.
Yeah, and then they get sent a code and they can take it out of the car.
Oh, right.
So you can't just like run around with a shotgun.
Yeah. Oh Christ! Imagine trying to explain that when you're in the heat.
Yeah, I know, right? What's the code? Fucking 000.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
We did actually have a friend, another friend. She was a cop, and she got kicked out of the police because she shot someone in New Zealand.
Right.
Yeah, they were treated her rough, like really bad. Some big fucking meth head ran at her with a machete, and she was fucking Hannah's size. She was tiny, the little blonde lass, and she stood there, and this giant Samoan dude's running at her, methed out of his head with a machete. And she was like, filled him full of lead, and they kicked her out of the fucking police for it.
That, I would imagine, is because it would have been perceived as racist.
Yeah, almost
So
certainly,
to keep the Maoris on side, it's like, we'll sack this officer for killing a black.
Irrelevant that he was 6'5" and running at a little white girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, we shouldn't be having that many female police officers.
No,
Complete waste of time.
I got pulled over once by this. She was a really small girl on the motorway, and I thought to myself, "What the fuck could you do about anything I decide to do now? If I decide that this isn't going the way you want, there's nothing that you could do to stop me. You don't have the force."
Female police officers are the luxury for when you have a safe society.
Yeah.
We don't have a safe society anymore now for the last 20, 30 years due to mass migration. And we keep hiring more and more women.
There's nothing sadder than seeing. I've seen a few videos of like little mini riots in Manchester, and you're seeing a female police officer getting beaten. It's really fucking sad to see.
Yeah. A female police officer can only arrest a man who wants to be arrested.
Yeah, who allows it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite. Yeah, it's just heartbreaking, isn't it? Seeing a woman getting twatted by some fucking lunatic.
Yeah. Oh, there's a video going around a few weeks ago of 3 women trying to apprehend one man in his garden. Did you see it at all?
Yeah.
One of them was fully dolled up as well, long nails, which is how that's allowed in the police. I don't know. And you're just thinking, wow, that's three police just to apprehend this guy.
And that's why they have to send 3 of them.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll rarely see female police officers on their own. They pair them up because they're worth half of a male police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to the physical force of things.
Yeah.
But you only ever meet a police officer on the worst day of your life anyway.
Yeah.
We want the police tackling violent criminals, but we hire small, weak women. And you wonder why our crime stats are going out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a 6 foot odd Bangladeshi bloke and you see a little white chick coming down the road that's 5'2" and a stab vest, you're going to take that on every day of the week, aren't you?
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? You know what I mean, though? You're not going to lose that fight because it will come to a fight.
Of course it will. Most criminals don't want to get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not bothered about going away anyway, are they?
No,
So
exactly.
go for it.
Just go straight through it. It's only law-abiding. You'll go, I'll give you my details.
Yeah.
I'll see you in court. It's only law-abiding, that a police woman can actually enforce upon.
Yeah.
Unless it's a fair woman.
A fair woman.
A fucking big one.
Well, yeah, I mean, she'll be bigger and stronger than a normal woman.
Yeah.
But the average 14-year-old boy can still go through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just not got the strength for the ability, the movement, the speed of anything.
Yeah. That's why we didn't like them being in sports with men.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you just look at the overall fitness of the police. It's not just women who are ruining the police. It's everybody.
Yeah.
We've got fat women, fat men. We've got idiots. We keep lowering the bar to be more inclusive. And with that inclusive now, we actually hire criminals.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
People with a record.
People, join now. With a service record, you can join the police.
Really?
Yeah. How many police... In the newspaper today, there's a Greater Manchester policewoman who's just been fired today for having a sexual affair with 2 convicted prisoners. She was caught on camera visiting them and kissing them.
Nice.
And both of them were organised crime. And they reckon she's been passing them information before they were locked up. We've seen this all the time.
Bloody hell.
And then, male police officers, that one in London, who used his badge to get that woman in the car, raped and murdered her.
Oh, yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years, yeah. So, but we're hiring these people all the time because we've lowered the bar so much.
I mean, you're always going to get outliers.
Of course.
Goes without saying.
Yeah.
But if you keep lowering the bar, you're just going to get more and more of them, aren't you?
The amount of police officers being arrested and sacked for sexual assault is horrendous. It's every week.
Yeah.
Every week, someone's raped someone, assaulted someone. There was another police... It looks like I'm just having to go at policewoman. It's not just policewomen, but there was a police story last week, or a couple of days ago. Policewoman, I forgot what force it was, has just been sacked because on a night out, she sexually assaulted 2 of her colleagues.
Nice.
One was a woman, she grabbed her breasts, and the other one was a man, and she grabbed his penis. And,
A police officer, officer.
All of them are police officers.
Right.
But it was a social night out.
Right.
Oh, right, okay.
But she's been sacked from the police. And the male police officers being sacked all the time for stuff. I don't know the conclusion of this, but I was talking to a woman last year who was being, she said, harassed by a police sergeant in Greater Manchester. And I don't know how much this is true because I didn't see the evidence, but I don't remember, it's not been in the papers. He was sending her pictures with his penis out in uniform in the station.
Wow.
It's like, if that's not sackable,
Yeah.
then I don't know what is. And many cases of male police officers using the police database to track women down who they fancy.
Oh, God. People make some weird decisions. Did you see that prison officer who slept with 2 was letting one inmate film asleep with another inmate?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen that?
Yeah. Again,
and I'm like, how much?
Female and Brazilian.
Yeah.
Wasn't even English.
Yeah.
And in jail at the moment, not going to be deported when she gets out.
Yeah.
Should be deported. She's Brazilian, for God's sake.
Was she Brazilian? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll pay for all of her incarceration and then probably rehouse her when she's struggling.
Yeah. But that's happening all the time with female prison guards.
Why would you have female prison guards in a male prison?
DEI. It's
It
inclusive.
makes no sense, though.
Women can do anything a man can do.
Apart from fucking fight off male prisoners.
Yeah.
But you're asking. Unfortunately, there's always going to be attraction between male and female at some
Yeah.
point, isn't there? You're asking for it. You are asking, but for that woman to have trusted, like, oh, there's one criminal in the room, I'll sleep with him, and then the other one, I'll trust that he'll keep this video to himself. Bizarre.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, the female warden of the prison has just been sacked for the same sort of stuff.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, almost every week we've got stories in the paper of this. Female prison guards sleeping with inmates.
Yeah.
And again, the article I wrote on it goes into psychology of it. It's in their nature. It's in their nature of a female to want to be protected. Who's going to protect you? Historically, it was a big bad man who'd protect you. Jails are full of big bad men. So it taps into that subconsciously. Women also want to be the saviour of men as well. I can look after him. He's misunderstood.
Redemption cases.
Yeah. So, so with that as well. But it's, I think on average, I think they're sacking 20 female prison guards a year just for this, sleeping with inmates.
Wow.
It's a fucking lot, isn't it?
Bloody hell.
And can you imagine if it's the other way round? If it was the other way around, the narrative would be evil male prison guard taking advantage of vulnerable female prisoners.
Yeah.
We never have those headlines when it's a female prison guard who has all the power, all the influence. And in those cases, it's always led astray by the male prisoner. Even in those cases, it's always the fucking man's fault.
Yeah, well, it is because they allowed the women to be in the prison in the first place. Yeah. It might not be that prisoner's fault, but it's the DEI chief at the fucking prison.
Yeah.
The bloody hell.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way that women should be in a male prison.
No.
Under any circumstance.
We like to think UK prisons are beyond too much corruption, to be honest.
No.
They're so screwed up.
Can't even keep drugs out and phones out.
On that video of that woman sleeping with, the other fella's got a joint.
Can't keep drugs and phones out.
How many times did you watch this video?
Oh, shit, yeah.
When the video came out, no one believed it was true.
No, because it's ridiculous.
Because it was like, this is a setup. Someone's made something up looking like a cell, and they've got a uniform. It's like, this isn't real. Even I didn't think it was real at the beginning. It was like,
It can't be.
That's how I discovered
it's
it.
She's even smiling at the camera, even if she was bent over a desk and being rammed. And I'm thinking, even if that's true, she wouldn't she wouldn't want to be on camera. But yeah, she didn't care.
Maybe you are right. People are just fucking stupid.
They are.
There's no excuse for that.
It's a fun way to hand your resignation in, isn't it?
But also, there's that much stuff going in that prison, that behaviour becomes normalised.
Yeah.
So why am I hiding? Yeah. Everyone's doing it. We're doing all sorts here.
Yeah, it's not just her.
This is just a normal day at the office, and then you forget it's actually illegal.
Yeah.
So it's on the corruption side. I know you've just done a podcast on it with, I think it was with Ash, wasn't it, on Tommy Robinson, and the stuff he's having to go through in prison. And I don't know if you've read into it much, but what happened in court a couple of weeks ago, where he felt he had to hold up signs. Did you see any of that? So he went through his appeal.
Yep.
And obviously this is all in writing because we don't film the court proceedings, do we, in England? But when he was allowed to take a break to speak to his attorneys, because he said, I haven't been allowed to, he took a break. Then the judge got him back and asked him about it. And he basically held up a sign and said, they're recording me and they're going to cut me off if I say whatever. So he was being cut off audio when he was trying to say something by the prison because he was complaining that he wasn't getting treated fairly. So he felt he had to hold a sign up to the judge. I mean, that's stuff you see on like a film, in an American film.
No, I mean, Tommy Robinson is a political prisoner. There's no doubt about it.
Even if you disagree with what he says or does, he's definitely a political
prisoner.
Yeah.
And if they can treat him like that,
they can
and if they can treat all those people in jail for tweeting like that, then even if you disagree with what they said, you don't even like him, you might despise Tommy Robinson. But if they can do it to people like that, they can do it to you if you ever cross the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could do it to anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, and then if they did it to someone like us, no one even gives a fuck about it. Like,
No.
The whole country's, well, not the whole country, a lot of the country's behind Tommy Robinson, and they're still
Yeah.
doing it to him.
There's more people now than there ever was
Yeah.
because they made a martyr out of the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. Send him to prison, give him more publicity.
I can't tell you how many people I've spoke to that are like, fucking Tommy Robinson, because my name's Tom Robinson.
No.
Yeah.
It's fucking everyone I speak to.
Yeah. It's a shame. I think what he's done, is it something like nearly 10 times more days in solitary than the UN approve for human rights or something like that?
Oh, I don't know.
I think they approve something like 14 days, as
Yeah.
that should be within human rights. 14 days is acceptable, and I think he's on 100,
Oh, right, yeah.
100 odd days in
Yeah.
solitary.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Can't be good for you, can it?
Oh, no. I mean, solitary confinement's a punishment.
Yeah.
They use it in all jails, solitary confinement. It must work.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I've been on my own. I'm on my own half an hour every day. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you got no idea what it's like day after day, day after day. No one to speak to. We're social creatures at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No, prisons use it to break the biggest, toughest men.
Yeah.
So
And it fucking works.
And it works.
Can't speak to your kids, can't speak to your family. The only people on the other side of the door hate you. It must be bloody awful. Jesus.
How long has he actually got in prison?
18 months. So 9 months he'll be out.
You're right.
Is it?
Yeah.
He's not doing half a term like everyone else.
Yeah, so 18 months. He should be out in 9 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, that's only with good behaviour.
Yeah.
So,
But you can't misbehave if you're only by yourself, can you?
well, who knows?
All it needs is
One wrong sideways look in a political prison. Yeah.
Yeah, or they could say you've been giving out information out into the public or
Yeah.
something, because they've got all his visitors signing
Yeah.
NDAs, haven't they? Something
Yeah.
like that.
It's pretty scary stuff, isn't it?
It
Very
is.
totalitarian.
Yeah. And then forget Tommy Robinson. Look at some other people. The woman who got 3 years for putting a tweet out, then deleting it. We only know her because she's a young woman, and she was married to a Tory councillor. So that's the reason we know her. But there's hundreds of others just like
But
that. in
3
jail.
years is insane, no
Yeah.
matter what she's said.
Yeah.
3 years is a ridiculous
Yeah.
sentence.
Do you know what she said?
Burned down all the hotels where the migrants are living.
Right.
Yeah, something like it was.
And then she deleted it 3 hours later.
Yeah.
So, still got 3 years.
Yeah.
That doesn't add up, does it?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And then the guy killed himself in jail.
Mm.
He got 2 years for shouting at the police.
Yeah.
That was it. Shouting
at the
police.
2 years.
2 years. Calling them traitors, shouting that they were traitors. Got arrested for whatever, disturbing the peace, or whatever the charge was. No violence. Nothing
2
like
years
that.
for disturbing the peace.
Well, I don't know what the charge. I can't remember what the charge
Right.
was, but all he did was he was shouting forcefully at the police, and he got 2 years and killed himself in jail.
Jesus
Fucking
Christ.
hell.
Yeah, it met you sick, wouldn't it? I mean, it was all at the same time as all the people being released.
First offence,
Yeah.
no criminal record, never been and gets 2 years.
Christ.
So it's the same thing as
There's
as
an
political
immigrant in
punishment.
court the other day raping a 12-year-old girl, or had sex with a 12-year-old girl. There was, but anyway, 180 hours community service.
Fuck off, that's not true.
Yeah,
That can't be true.
there was.
It will be, though, won't it?
Yeah.
It was because the argument was around, was it consensual?
What? With a fucking 12-year-old?
Yeah. So that was the argument. It wasn't a stranger jumping on someone he didn't know. But forget all that. But you can rape a 12-year-old girl or have sex with a 12-year-old girl and get community service. Shout at the police, you can do 2 years.
Sweet.
Yeah. Have child porn on your phone, as Hugh Edwards, the BBC news presenter, did.
Yeah.
Slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Did he get a fine?
Community service, I would imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that they haven't brought it up a right lot, have they?
No. So it all depends who you are and what your crime is. Again, two-tier criminal justice system.
Why is this fucking paedophilia shit so prevalent at the minute?
It's because it's an extension of the LGBTQ crap. And
Do you think?
I don't think.
Because the Muslims aren't into the LGBTQI shit.
No, so are you talking about Muslims?
Well, just in general, there seems to be so much of it.
Right, so let's
Epstein, and then I mean, since Epstein being released, how many more cases of like paedophilia have we heard?
Yeah,
since like 1920, it's been nothing but a barrage of it.
Now, is that because it's happening more, or is that because we're
hearing more?
We're more aware of it,
yeah,
and they're hearing more. I'd say it's because we're hearing more about it. I don't think there's been suddenly people are going, oh, I'm going to try a bit of pedo.
Yeah.
The Muslim thing's different, and that's because it's socially acceptable.
Yeah.
So, Muhammad got married to a girl when she was 6. He consummated the marriage when she was 9. There's usually no age range in some of these Muslim countries to get married.
Yeah.
They're marrying girls at 9, 10, 11. So for them, it's perfectly normal. We find it abnormal because we created the arbitrary age of 16.
Yeah.
France, it's 15. In Spain, it used to be 13.
Netherlands is 12.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, Amsterdam. Yeah. Netherlands. Yeah.
In Turkey, it's 18.
Yeah.
So we all pick these arbitrary ages, and we've picked 16 in this country.
There should be an age, though. An age of consent.
There
surely.
has to be one, I guess.
But what age is that?
Yeah.
So, all these countries I've mentioned, we've all got different ages. So it isn't like it's universally accepted that this is the age. Every country has got different ages. But paedophilia itself is becoming more and more normalised because of the progression of the gay rights movement. So what people don't understand is, so I'm not saying gay people are they are perverts, but I'm just saying that they're not pedos. So we had the LGB, then we added the T, now we've added the Q. Do you know what Q stands for?
Queer?
Queer. And
what does that mean?
What does queer mean? Queer comes from something called queer theory. Queer theory is the breaking down of all normal barriers. And one of those big barriers they want to demolish is the difference between adult and child when it comes to sexuality. So queer theory states that we are oppressing children by not allowing them to explore their own sexuality. Some people,
who the fuck is writing this shit?
Some people are saying, this is taught in universities, by the way. This isn't some pedo on the internet. These are university courses.
Wow.
Some social justice warriors think this is the last great social justice battle, giving children their rights, that children can decide for themselves. This is the last big battle. Now, this has been going on for a long time. In the 1970s, there was an organisation called PI. Ever heard of that?
No.
Paedophile Information Exchange. That was an English-British organisation that accessed government grants. Wasn't underground. This was in-your-face organisation that got government grants that wanted to reduce the age of consent to 3.
3?
3.
Jesus
you know the charity, human rights charity Liberty?
No.
Liberty is a big British human rights charity.
I've heard of them.
They defended them.
On what grounds?
I'm not, that it's human rights. That PI should be able to lobby for these things. They stuck up for them. There was, I think it was the Labour ex-MP Harriet Hartman. She was employed by Liberty. Not at the same time. Afterwards, she was employed by Liberty, and Liberty supports PI. So it's been going on since the 70s of wanting to confuse between adult and child. So for the perverts, last 10, 15 years, you're not allowed to use the word pedo anymore now, paedophile. The correct term now is minor attracted person.
Yeah, that's fucking sick.
MAPS, yes, because it's disrespectful to the pedos to be called pedos.
That's the whole point.
Exactly, but that's quite bigoted to call them
It
pedos.
just makes your fucking blood boil,
yeah.
doesn't it?
So this has been going on for a long time.
You're making me angry, Nick.
Yeah. And then roll forward to modern day. Why do you think we have drag artists going into school?
It's try and push this.
Pushing all this
Propaganda
non-stuff into
nonsense,
school.
yeah.
Why do you think pride events, pride marches now are all family inclusive? Because they want children there to start being indoctrinated.
Well, they would argue that they don't want a kid to sit in the closet for years scared of coming out as gay.
They could argue that, but then...
And there is a small portion of that is true. Having known a couple of people that are gay, and they're genuine. We knew that they were gay from the age of 5 or 6.
That's a whole different... We can get into that if you want.
No, I don't really want to get into
Right.
it. But they would argue...
No one's born gay.
No.
No one is born gay.
I reckon?
No.
What do you think? It's like a path.
It's... Yes.
A path of indoctrination, maybe.
Yeah. It's like many things... There'll be many reasons why. So one of the reasons may be certain people may be more prone to homosexuality than others, but that doesn't mean you're born gay. That just means you're more prone to something. There's many gay men who are introduced to homosexuality when they're in their adolescence by an older man.
Yeah.
So, there's some evidence. I'm not saying this, I don't know, I'm not looking into it enough. I will for my next book. But there's some evidence that gay men are abused into being gay.
Right.
And let's not leave the lesbians out. There's a theory now on lesbians that lesbians are really women who are getting together because it's a benefit to form a harem ready for a man to take over. So
that is going to ruffle some feathers, Nick. I'm not going to lie to you.
So that's not saying they're doing that consciously, and that's not saying they actually want a man to come and take over. I'm saying they've got biological instincts subconsciously that are pushing women to get. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying this is what I've read.
Yeah.
So there's many reasons, but let's get back to paedophilia. When you go to pride marches now, it's full of kink. It's full of perverted men dressed up as dogs being led around on leashes.
Yeah.
It's full of big, hairy men with moustaches, with leather chaps and their asses hanging out. It is the worst side of being a homosexual. I know I've got friends who are homosexuals, and none of them go to pride. They all say it's disgusting. It makes me ashamed of telling people I'm gay because they think you're just like those perverts, narcissists and exhibitionists. And my gay friends, both men and women, say, I tell nobody I'm gay. It's the least important thing about me is my sexuality. When I meet other people, they don't go, hi, my name's Jackie, I'm a heterosexual. So
why would you do it if you're gay?
So why do you do it when you're gay?
Yeah.
Why do certain section of gay men go, hi, hoo, ha, ha? You're not born like that. That's a role you're playing. It's a choice you've made to be camp. It's part of it is belonging. It's very complicated. I probably can't get into it all now.
No.
But the paedophilia side of it, paedophilia is making a comeback, and they're pushing and sexualizing children all the time. Why are we doing it? It's because they want to sexualize and get their hands on children.
Do you remember when Blue Sky, the Democratic Twitter, was launched? It was like the rival to Truth Social for Trump. They were immediately taken over by Maps.
Yep.
There was a big following of Maps. It was fucking ridiculous. And funnily enough, that's why the whole thing failed.
Yeah.
No one's fucking interested.
If you want to, I could make an argument for paedophilia.
No, you couldn't.
No, I could make an argument, a sound argument for paedophilia based on what's happened in our country over the last 20 years. And
you could do it, but you might get hurt.
The argument would be this.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
The argument is this.
I can't wait to repeat this at a party when I'm drunk.
lads, let me put a case for paedophilia towards you. Of course, yes. Where's that bat? So the case would be
a lot of
this.
ditches round here, Nick.
Yeah, yeah, at farms. Yeah. There's been many groups who have been persecuted because who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Black people for being black. And then, we treat them as slaves because they were slaves. And we got together and decided slavery wasn't fair and they're just like us. So we ended slavery. We tried to end racism. We embraced them because they're our brothers. It's not, there's nothing wrong with being black.
Which all makes sense.
So let's get to the paedophilia bit. See if we still say it there.
Yeah.
And then the next fight then was homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
People are born gay, and then they're persecuted, they're beaten up at school, they're bullied. And how can we do that to people who just want to love who they love? Why do we care if two men want to make a life together? Why are they penalised? So we changed the law because it used to be illegal up to 1958 or something. And men got sent to jail in this country for being gay. And then we changed the law and we said to people, we're not going to lock you up for being gay. But that wasn't good enough because then you couldn't share your pension and you couldn't get married to your partner, man or a woman. So then we changed the law so then you could have a civil partnership. You could share your life, buy a house together as a couple, adopt children as a couple. And then eventually we got to the holy ground where you could get married as a couple, same-sex marriage, because we don't want to treat people differently. And then we move that on then. Then we start talking about trans. Who are we to say that a man can't be a woman? How does it affect us? So if a man wants to dress like a woman, get breast implants, have his penis inverted and stuck inside himself, who are we to say he can't do that? There may be some problems around bathrooms and sports, especially for bathrooms, because some men are evil perverts and may pretend to be trans just so they can get access to women. But we've got to deal with them separate because trans aren't perverts. Trans were born in the wrong body. We need to help those people and support those people, but we need to be careful of the straight white male perverts who'll pretend to be trans. So we need to look after them differently. So we need to change parts of our society. We need to change some of our language to be trans inclusive, just like we did for black people, just like we did for gay people. We changed the language, just like we did for the feminists, for women. We don't have manhole covers anymore now. We have maintenance covers. We don't have a blackboard anymore now. We have a chalkboard. So society is always changing to be more inclusive to these groups who have been persecuted for things that they can't help. So someone is born attracted to children. Is it their fault? Well, no, it's not their fault because we're born that way. God made them that way, so it can't be wrong, can it? So how do we help these people live the lives they want, but to ensure children are safe? Because we can't have people just having sex with children if children don't want to have sex. So we can tell if children are having a nice time by them laughing, giggling, and coming back. So we can't have forcible sex with children. We must have consensual sex with children.
Coerced.
Consensual sex with children who understand their bodies, who understand what they want. Now, we picked an arbitrary age of 16.
But what if you've got a mature 8-year-old?
Exactly. They may be mature at 8. They may be mature at 13. Now, this is you see how the argument's going? Because
I understand how they could make this argument. It doesn't mean you're not going to get twatted for making it.
No, well, people got twatted for saying they wanted to end slavery.
Yeah.
People got twatted for saying gay people should be able to live openly as gay. So there's always violent bigots out there who will attack you. But progress to social justice is the only way. And that's the next barrier now is paedophilia. Who are we to tell children what they can and can't do? Because basically we're placing an authority above them. There's certain things we can influence them with and we need to protect them, but if they want to do something and they're mature enough to make those decisions...
But what if that child wants to put the fucking hand in the fire? You tell them not to do it and that's the rule.
True. How many children have you met who want to put the hand in the fire?
I did it.
Did you?
Yeah, to be
Of course
fair,
I
that was the
fucking
funnest thing to do at a dinner party, wasn't it? Put your hand through a candle.
Yeah, but
I know like 5 people off the top of my head.
so that's how these perverts
Yeah.
convince themselves. That's how these perverts convince the woke liberal left
Yeah.
by using all the battles that have gone before, and then
But some of them are justified.
well,
Like if two consenting blokes want to live their life together in a house, I don't have a fucking problem with it. Like, it doesn't affect me
well,
in any way.
well, if a man wants to sleep with a 8-year-old girl, it doesn't affect you.
Yeah, but it's not consensual.
But you,
Because over the age of 18, it's
yeah, but
it's your choice.
that wasn't the argument you just made.
Well, of course it is. I said 2 consenting adults.
The argument you made was it doesn't affect me.
Well, 2 consenting adults don't affect me. An unconsenting adult does affect me because that unconsenting adult could have been me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
What if it
Yeah, but you could say that for a million things if it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
The difference is that when in this country, when you hit 18, you become fully liable for all of your choices.
Yep.
You become an adult. So at that point, you can make whatever fucking choices you want.
Except suicide.
Yeah, except suicide.
So there's already conditions on that then.
But I mean, it does strike me as stupid to be making suicide illegal. Because
Human
by
race.
the time that the crime has been committed, it's already like, what's the fucking point in having a law on it? You can't be persecuted for committing suicide, can you?
Not if you're successful. But the,
Well, yeah.
but the vast majority of suicides are unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the argument against paedophilia
Oh, thank God. We got there.
is this. The simple argument against paedophilia is partly what you were touching upon, that children are not adults.
Yeah.
A child is an immature version of an adult. They are learning, they are growing, and it's down to parents to influence children and educate and raise their child up to a point that the law then says that person, that individual sovereign person is at a level of an age where they can make decisions themselves. In this country, we say it's 18 legally for most things. Sex, we say it's 16.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. But the path I painted is the path, the maps, the pedos.
You can see. I see where you're going with it. If you were so inclined, you could try and take advantage of that information.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it right, though, does it?
Lots of things are legal in this country that are not right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We murder, like we said last time, we murder 250,000 babies in this country every year. It's not right, but it's legal.
It's interesting that you're not actually born with the opinion, though, of the paedophile stuff. You feel like you are. Like I would say I've been...
Yeah, because as you get older and you start seeing how innocent kids are,
you
know that it's fucking wrong. Just being around kids, you know how innocent they are.
Yeah, it is.
So to destroy that innocence must be an act of evil, right?
You know, my gut tells me it's wrong, and probably that it's wrong. But if I was born in Netherlands, I might think 16's a bit old.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not actually born with the opinion that paedophilia is wrong.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You get born in Afghanistan, guess what?
Yeah, everybody's fucking kids.
8 years wasted.
Yeah. 8 years?
That's what they're going to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm born with that. Like I'd be born.
Yeah, but it has been drummed into you from a very young age.
Yeah. But I think in my gut, I know it's disgusting and wrong. But actually, you're not actually born with that.
I feel like we're slipping into a university discussion here.
Everything's got to be questioned, but then some questions just go far enough where you go, nah, that's I'm pretty sure
no,
that's
it's definitely
wrong.
fucking wrong. Yeah.
Fortunately, someone questioned, is gay wrong? And we decided, no, it's not wrong at all. Took us a lot of time.
A lot of chemicals were involved, didn't it?
A lot of chemicals. We used to hang people for being gay, didn't we?
No.
Did we not?
No. Went to jail.
Went to jail.
Yeah.
Oh,
and there was voluntary castration with chemicals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was voluntary. Not to go to jail.
Yeah, so you had the choice between jail and chemical castration. Yeah.
He was at Turin, took that, didn't he? Killed
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, so where do you draw the line?
There is no simple line to draw.
No. Life is complicated.
It is. And every time you make a rule, you will disadvantage some people and you'll advantage others. Hence why we're always in a mess, because we're always trying to find a path to walk upon without going too far one way or the other.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult. And that path changes over time. And that path changes in different countries, in different cultures. And that path can change depending what family you're born into. It's a constantly moving path. It's very hard to navigate.
Yeah. You end up having just go off a general consensus in the end, don't you? Fortunately, the general consensus in England is this is wrong, that's right. We've come to accept most things that are not harmful to others.
If we had this conversation 70 years ago,
Well, we're all locked up.
the odds are we all would have been against legalising homosexuality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that was the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go to the loo. Yeah, so Candace Owens, everybody, if you're interested, has done a brilliant, maybe right, maybe wrong, series on Macron and his wife. It is absolutely outrageous, the things that she says.
A few years ago, if you'd have said to me that Macron's wife was a man, I'd have laughed and said, "Don't be stupid."
It's not even so much that.
But I'm at a stage now where nothing would surprise me anymore now. Going through COVID and the lies and everything, nothing would surprise me anymore. And I don't know one way or the other, and I don't care.
Yeah.
But nothing would surprise me anymore now.
It's honestly, if you're interested, give it a listen. It's fucking hilarious.
I mean, first 15 minutes is you'll make your mind up that yes, she's a man.
Yeah.
And then the next 5.5 hours is just
Deciding whether Macron's a paedophile or not.
supporting evidence of how much of a man she is, really. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's
bizarre.
outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. So much fun to listen to.
We pay attention to some crap, to be fair. We could probably spend more time paying attention to important stuff.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
Yeah. The whole world's knowledge is on the internet, and you watch Candace Owens 6 hours about, is that a man?
I know.
I mean, when you look at it like that, it's ridiculous that you spent 6 hours on it, but when you listen to it at work, it's just fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
She's screaming into the microphone, "Take me to court."
Jesus. Yeah, and they won't, yeah. Keep sending the letters, and all of the letters, in not one part of it does it say, "and you are wrong." Yeah. It's all just saying, "Please stop saying it." not one thing says Miss Macron.
Yeah.
Does it?
No.
This is the problem. I heard a guy talking today on a podcast, and he's going, "Why the fuck do you all care about governments and conspiracy theories and stuff? It's not like it isn't going to make any difference to you coming home and seeing your partner and enjoying your good life." And it's easy to say that, isn't it? Now, I'm not saying you should pay attention to the French president's trans wife, but politics in general.
I think if it turns out she's a man, let's forget that one. We were told for years Joe Biden was sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
He's running that White House. I've had a meeting with him now. God, he's sharp.
He's so aggressive.
If we can have governments who can lie to our faces about serious things like who's running the country, what else are they lying about? If they can lie that the French president's wife was actually a man, and I don't know one way, and I don't care.
Yeah.
But if they can lie about that, what else are they lying about? That's why it's so important.
Yeah.
It just breeds conspiracy, doesn't it? Because if they can lie about one, they can lie about 1,000 other.
But it's the problem is ignorance really is bliss, isn't it? The amount of people.
Oh yeah.
You know, I say some of our friends, some of my family don't pay attention.
Yeah. Why do you bother?
And
It's a
guess
lot of
what?
shite.
They live the exact same great quality of life that we do.
Yeah.
And focus on something entertaining. You know, unfortunately though, we could all live like that and then just go into the ditch and the country's over with,
Yeah.
and eventually someone has to pay attention, don't they?
It's like that scene out the Matrix. Do you want the blue pill or the red pill?
Yeah.
If you take the red pill, your eyes will stay open and you'll see the world for what it is. Or take the blue pill and you'll be back in the Matrix in a minute and you'll never see reality, but you'll live a happy life.
Yeah.
Most people will take the blue pill.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, well,
The problem with that is if you don't take the red pill, there's a chance that something nefarious can take over the running of your life.
yeah.
You
It
know,
might not be good forever.
Yeah.
yeah,
or it will not be good
it will
forever.
not be good together forever, because communism could take over the UK entirely.
It's
Which I
not,
think is why it's definitely a reason why I started following politics was with COVID. Yeah, it made a big impression on me that someone could just come in and control my life entirely and tell me that I couldn't leave my fucking house unless I went shopping with a fucking mask.
yeah.
And you get to that point, and it's like, well, what else could they tell me that I have to do? And they're clearly lying about this fucking Wuhan thing.
Yeah.
For me, that was where it started anyway.
Yeah.
It's not easier. It's not easier to be red pilled or whatever you'd say, is it? It's harder. I mean, the amount we always talk a lot. I worry a lot about impending wars and stuff. It's not nice walking around with that sort of stress on your head, because it'd be like if I just turned my phone off for a couple of weeks, all my stress levels come back down and I stop worrying about it. Still happening or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's
It's a bit like, should you worry about manhole covers not being safe?
Yeah.
So you can live your life walking around not worrying about them. And you can walk on them and they're fine, don't worry about them. Or you could read that government report that says 92% of them are unsafe and could collapse at any time, and you fell down and you die. And suddenly you're walking around the street and you're worried about manhole covers. There's nothing you can do about them.
No.
But you're aware to the potential
Yeah, but
danger.
you can influence politics with your
Yeah.
vote. You have a vote.
You do. But walking around the streets, the only thing you can do there is not stand on them anymore.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can
Yeah.
you can arm yourself with information, and that's really the difference between red pill and blue pill. Blue pill is living in ignorance, hoping other people will keep you safe.
Yeah.
Red pill is living in reality, knowing safety is your responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, entirely. And I don't think you realise that until... Well, I didn't realise that until my late 20s. You start realising your own responsibility over your life.
Yeah, and that's a journey men are on, because men have to build their value and their worth. You know, you go through your teens and 20s, you're trying to find a career, you're trying to find a job, you're trying to find a partner, and when you get those things, you realise then it's all down to you. You want children, that's going to be down to you.
You've got a house, you've got something that needs protecting.
Yeah, you have to make sure that bills get paid, because it's down to you if you lose your house, and you know, and that's why men then start becoming more mature, because we're forced to. Women become mature earlier because they've got to get a lot of the parts of their life in order before we do, because you know they've only got so long to have babies. They've got to find a partner, find a good partner, have children in the 20s. So everything is more condensed for women. Men take longer, but men's responsibilities last a lot longer.
Yeah. I find it really interesting that women become more conservative, or as a general rule, women become more conservative once they have kids.
Yeah, I would imagine everyone does, because
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it's not about you anymore.
No,
then. It's about,
you have something to protect.
It's about someone else. It's not just the, you know, being selfish. You've got responsibility now. It's that person.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember who I heard it on. It might have been Jordan Peterson actually who was talking about it. I know he's big on responsibility, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did a full spiel on why women in particular becomes like super conservative, like far more red pilled than men after they've had kids.
Yeah. Again, not all of them.
No, not all of them, but as a majority.
Because some of them are quite happy having their children's breasts taken off.
Yeah,
Because they're
yeah,
trans. So,
yeah.
Yeah, the same instincts that can make them more conservative might turn them the wrong way, and they think they're looking after the kids by allowing them to do something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same trait. It's just different sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And And mothers can be overprotective.
Narcissists and psychopaths.
Yeah, but also that I don't let my children play out in case they hurt themselves. So therefore, they don't develop social skills. They don't develop friends because the mother wouldn't let them out.
Yeah, the overbearing mother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced that, haven't we? And a kid that we went to school with, the mother was massively overbearing.
Yeah, and they turn into a wet lettuce.
Yeah, they go vegan or something.
Yeah. And that tends to be, those mothers tend to be single mothers.
Yeah.
Because they've already been abandoned by the father, by the husband.
So they have to be
So
overprotective.
they're overprotective of the child, so they'll never leave him as well.
Yeah. Yeah, funnily enough, my mum, oh no, she wasn't really single, but she did let me do whatever I wanted.
Yeah, she definitely
She ran a pretty free use home, to be fair. Yeah, maybe she just didn't like me.
Fucking hell.
I don't think she didn't like you, I just don't think she cared.
She'll be furious if she listens to this. Don't ever say that. She let me do she let me be pretty independent. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it worked out a treat, didn't it?
Yeah. No issues from that. Thanks, Will.
There is no rule book how to bring children up. People make up as they go along, copy how they were brought up.
Try and make small modifications.
Yeah, and look what other people are doing. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And every child's different, and every situation is different, and every parent's different.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been, look at friends or anybody bringing up a kid, and there's not one decision you can make. It always has a reaction. It's not like a path. It's if you decide that you're going to keep them clean so they don't get ill, the reaction is they're going to be more susceptible to being ill. If you bollock them a lot, they might be well behaved, but they're not going to do the things that maybe they should have done that was a little bit naughty, or an experience that they should have done. Everything has a negative reaction bringing up a kid.
Yeah.
There's something they're going to miss out on.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yeah. So you just do it however you see best and try to do your best for them, and they're going to screw up in a certain way because of it. But hopefully in general.
Yes, that's all you can do is your best.
Yeah.
And hopefully if you do a good job, your children will pick up some of that and pass that on. Because it works your way around. Bad parents bring up bad children who then bring up their children poorly.
Yeah.
So then you that intergenerational cycle of dysfunctionality where how do you discipline your kid? Oh, I kick the shit out of it. Well, that's not really productive, is it? But then that child then thinks that's how you discipline children, so they'll do the same to their children.
Yeah. Majority of kids turn out. I mean, if most parents are just
turn out fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And again, it's not just parents who raise children.
No.
School, the community where they live. All those things have an impact. Not as much as the parents do, but if you've got poor parents but you've got a really close community, that can compensate sometimes.
Yeah.
If you've got great loving parents but your friends are little shits, they'll drag you down the wrong path.
Yeah.
So there's all those outside
the wrong crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those things can influence as well. Life's difficult.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah, of course it is.
So it wasn't not that long since we last sat down with you, but how far off is your next book?
About halfway through.
Right.
It's called Anglophobia, A Price Worth Paying to Be English.
Oh, yeah.
It's about 6 chapters. So I've done a chapter on Anglophobia itself, so hating the English.
Yeah.
Which has been extended now. So Anglophobia means hating the English, but it also means hating the British, hating the Anglosphere. And what it really means now is hating white people. Yeah. That's what Anglophobia means. So I go into all of that.
Yeah.
I've got a chapter on what does that actually mean. So I've got a chapter then on things like DEI, white supremacy, white racism, some of the terms now that we're using, such like we use terms, or other people use terms such as white trash. you could never say that about any other group.
Yeah.
You couldn't use a term
No,
like
you
black trash or
Yeah,
gay
you couldn't,
trash. I go into how we're being persecuted. Then there's a chapter on self-hate. So we've got many English people, mainly liberal people, who pretend that they hate England and hate the English. And there's nothing.
There's a lot of that goes about, though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like self-hatred of England and
So
Great Britain.
I go into that. The main reason for that, I come to my conclusion basically is
But don't spoil the book.
no, I won't come but I think this performative self-hate. It's not real self-hate. It's performative. Look at me. I don't think England has done wonderful things across the world. You know, we're just like everybody else. We've done terrible things. That performative stuff really comes from knowing that the English are the greatest people ever to exist, and that every other people have underperformed, and we feel pity for them. So therefore, we pretend we're just as bad as them to make them feel better. It's a bit like the Special Olympics, the Paralympics. Oh, aren't they fantastic? No, if they were fantastic, they'd be in the proper Olympics, wouldn't they? So they're not fantastic, they're just disabled.
Yeah.
And through pity, we let them have a go. And that's the self-hate we
Although
have.
there was something pretty cool about seeing the Blade Runner in the Olympics. Oscar.
Yeah, until he killed his
Until
girlfriend.
he shot his girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking arsehole.
Yeah, which means the Paralympics are breeding grounds for violent people, aren't they?
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
Using modern logic.
And the cheating that goes on in the Paralympics. You've heard about the cheating?
No?
Rife with cheating. Let me give you some
Doping.
examples. Also, well, drugs, yes,
Yeah.
but way crazier than drugs. Let me tell you the
go
crazy
on.
stuff. 10, 15, 20 years ago, the Spanish basketball team at the Paralympics. So basketball are for people with an IQ under 85 or something, retarded basically. And they won gold, and then got discovered something like 14 out of the 15 players have got normal IQ.
Right.
They cheated on the test so they could play in the Olympics. So that one you think, well, I could see people doing
Yeah,
that.
you can, yeah.
Here's the weird one. Paralympics in wheelchairs. People, I can't remember the correct phrase now, but people who can't use the legs, no feeling in the legs. So they're strapped up into the wheelchair and they're doing all sorts of sports. Those sickos break their own toes before a match because they can't feel it. So they break their own toes, which gives them an adrenaline rush. They can't feel any pain, and they're super pumped up now.
Fuck off, really?
Yeah, and that's well known, and you can get kicked out for doing it.
Wow.
What? That's mental.
Yeah.
Christ.
So that is technically doping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. You can only do that once in a tournament, surely.
Well,
you've got
you
10
can't feel
toes,
it.
haven't you?
You can't feel
Yeah,
it.
but once they're brought, like, or do you just fuck about with him every
Yeah,
game?
yeah. Because that stimulates everything. You just can't feel it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you can't feel it, yeah, why not? Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's like a boost button.
Yeah.
Imagine the scene in that dressing room.
Huh?
Yeah, everyone's walking. Well, I'll say
Walking about.
knocking about with hammers. Just a coach going around with pliers.
So what was I talking about before we went on to Paralympics?
Well, we're talking about the book.
The book.
Yeah.
So that was a self-hate. So I'm talking about self. The next chapter is about why we're hated. So I've come to the conclusion we're hated because it's jealousy and envy. It's as simple as that. And I go into why we're hated.
Well, if you hear the Americans talk about the English, they used to, up until a few years ago, a lot of them used to revere England.
Yeah.
And there's none of that anymore.
No.
None at all. No one wants to come here from that side of the West.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I talk about that. Then there's a chapter on, I think the last chapter it's called Thank You, England. And I talk about everything the world should thank us for. And I did a podcast with Rafe Hadel Manku, this historian of the New Culture Forum.
All right.
Have you heard of him?
No,
No.
I'll have a look into him.
Chubby bloke, always wears a bow tie.
Right.
He's a
I might have done
historian.
actually, yeah.
So I had a discussion with him, and he gave me his top 10 thank yous that people owe us. So I'm going to put that in the book, but I'm going to talk about what I think. So that's what it's about. That's a structure at the moment. 3 chapters have been written. The other 3 have been researched. They just need writing.
Right.
So I'm hoping to publish it June, July.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Yeah, it is interesting when you go down those routes. Like if you look at the Industrial Revolution, which is basically the basis for the whole of modern life,
Yep.
it can be traced back to an English and a French bloke who designed the lathe. Everything that we have in this life right now can be based on a lathe from 17 something in France and England.
Right.
That's why I like lathes.
Yeah. So hopefully it's a good. It's it's basically following on from the other book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just follows on basically.
And is the England My England doing quite well? Obviously, YouTube's growing. Bigger and bigger, isn't it?
I'm surprised it's still selling. I'm selling almost 1 or 2 copies a day still.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, which for me is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's still selling slowly now. But
Brilliant.
yeah, before Christmas, it sold like 1,000 in a week, which was the most I've ever sold. But it's been selling hundreds since then, and so it's the first book I've made some decent money out of.
Yeah.
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 Oh, great.
Get 5 of them going a year.
Yeah.
I mean, this book should be done now. I just can't find the time.
Yeah.
And it's not like I go, I've got an hour.
Right.
No, I need full days, or at least nearly a full day. Because I sit down, I've got to reread a couple of times what I've just written. And so the first 1 or 2 hours sat working is non-productive. It's getting me right, my mind into where I'm up to, and then, so you can't just pop in and out, in and out. I've got to have blocks of time where I sit down and go, right.
So do you perfect each paragraph as you go through it?
No.
Or do you just write a
To begin with,
preliminary and then go back?
To begin with, I just go, "Ugh,"
Yeah.
and I just try to get everything out, and that don't make sense. Who cares? And then I'll then go through it again and try to structure it and edit it, and then I might cut and paste. Oh, that really, I went off the tangent there. That's not really for this chapter. Paste that into the other chapter. That's not even written yet. I'll just create chapter 6 and stick it in there, and I'll deal with that another day. And then as I'm going through it, it's getting more formulated.
Right.
But to begin with, I just try to get it all out.
Yeah. Try and get what's in here.
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then structure it afterwards. And there's some good tools to help. There's 2 things I recommend. One is called, well, we all know Grammarly.
Yeah.
So I use the free version of Grammarly. That does all my spelling, my sentence structures, all that sort of stuff. Find that really helpful. But the one that no one's heard of is called Hemingway. Named after the author. It's just called Hemingway. Type that in, you'll find it. I use the free version, and you cut and paste, the chapter in or something. And what it does, it then colour codes your sentences and tells you sentences that are too complex, that people won't be able to understand. You've gone on too much, and I use that to make sure what I'm writing makes sense.
Right.
So without those 2 tools, I'd probably be able to write without those tools now. If I had to, I couldn't have done the first couple of books without those 2 tools.
Right.
Yeah.
The practice books.
Yeah. They taught me how to write.
Yeah.
Using those tools on those first couple of books. Where now, when I'm using those tools, I'm using them there's less and less corrections to be made because I'm getting better and better at writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a documentary on Hemingway, and he obsessed over each paragraph.
Yeah.
He had walls in his house that had pages on, and he wouldn't allow it to move from one wall to another until a paragraph was perfect. He was a psychopath.
Was it?
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
That's probably why they named it after him.
Yeah.
And what this program prefers is short, simple sentences.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I suppose that's what people prefer because you digest information easier that way, don't you?
Yeah. So sometimes it's a really good sentence, but Hemingway's saying it's too long, you're going to lose. Someone who's really good at reading will read it and understand it.
Yeah.
So what I'll do, I'll make that 2 sentences. It's the same thing, I just make it 2 sentences.
Yeah. The majority of people enjoy it to be cut down a little bit, don't they?
Exactly.
So you try tuck into a Jordan Peterson book, and it's so
Oh,
hard.
it's fucking hard work.
Because he'll keep his paragraphs spreading along, won't he?
I think the problem with people like that is that they are so much fucking cleverer than the likes of me and you. Like,
I don't think it's clever. I just think
he's just on a different fucking wavelength for me.
I just think it's more academic.
Yeah.
So they're used to reading.
I suppose that's what I mean by cleverer.
Yeah. One of the biggest feedback I get on my books is that was easy to read.
Yeah.
Because I use those 2 things, and I'm not a writer, so I write, and all I want is it to be clear for you to understand. I don't want you going, that was a hell of a paragraph, that wasn't the way he structured it.
Yeah.
And the way he brought that in, it's like, wow, that's not me. I'm just like, bang, 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 bang.
I have a point. I made it.
Yeah. There we go. Move on.
Yeah. Well, it's what you're writing about, isn't it? You've got a point to make. Yeah. Brilliant. Great. Is there anything else you're on with that you want to mention whilst we're on here? Or
No, give me a follow on social media, Nick Buckley MBE. Follow me on YouTube. Go to my channel there, subscribe, Nick Buckley MBE, and I put daily videos out and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
Oh, well, cheers for coming down, mate.
You're welcome.
Loved it again, that Nick. Yeah, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
If anyone wants to tune into us next week, probably going to watch retarded basketball, I think.
That is going to be an opening scene, I think.
I'm interested in that sport. If you're not cheating.
It's going to be like the Ringer, isn't it, surely?
Dodgeball.
Yeah.
No, thanks very much, mate. I really enjoyed that.
Cheers.
Yeah.
All good.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah.